And now it's time for the last day of the regular season for the Americas, as we look to see which teams will qualify through to the regional finals. Onyx put on a clinic in EMEA earlier today, and now it's time to see which teams are ready to show out for the Americas. My name is Glitter Explosion, and I will be your host for today. We've got to get the guys back in here as well, because we've got Dia and Genome ready to go. Dia, do you think Americas is going to be as exciting as EMEA was?
I've got to be honest with all of you Americas fans out there. EMEA gave us a collateral Kraber shot in the first 3 games. So I hope it is. And if we go off yesterday's games in Americas, I will say I dare it just might be as exciting as the EMEA.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Genome, have you been able to recover a little bit of energy between the 2 series here?
Oh, absolutely. It's a glorious day outside. I went for a walk in between, grabbed a coffee, grabbed a nice little salted sandwich for myself. I'm feeling refreshed. I'm feeling ready. And I am absolutely hoping that we get every little piece of action and intrigue that we had in EMEA following us over to NA.
I could not agree anymore. We have quite a lot to dive into here today. Storylines to be set, stats to talk about. So before we do that, you mentioned it, Dia. Let's take a look back at what happened yesterday. It's a doubleheader weekend. We had just had match day 8. So talk me through those first 3 circles.
As I said on the actual match day, game 1 broke records in the form of Jen Burton securing a monstrous amount of KP. In fact, the most kills in a single game during all of Split 2 in Year 5. So fantastic game from 100 Thieves. Obviously, they were the winners after that performance. Match 2 broke my brain in a bit of a different way. This was a great win from ZZ to actually find their first victory of the day, and what ended up being their last, despite a fantastic performance. What was weird about it was this last shot from Zero that had him simultaneously turning into a death box. Kryvor ended up taking game number 3 in pretty spectacular fashion. After 2 teams decided to fight each other for God Spot, understandably, ZZ played for the win, and Exterminators played not to let them win. In the end, Kryvor walked right up to Lightning Rod and took a victory away with a fantastically placed bubble, and honestly, some really nice play.
Well, we had another couple of games over on E-District, and 100 Thieves continued their rampage. 12 kills in our 4th game, but it was a sneaky VP coming up from the low ground, waiting, biding their time, and then taking the win with a solid 9 kills for themselves in Game 4 over at City Hall. Game 5, we did see Sentinels taking a much-needed dub, as you can see, 7th before this happened. But it was Team Falcons, Team Inferno also picking up quite a few kills here at the end. And then to cap off the day, just like they started it, we had 100 Thieves put out an absolute clinic with 19 kills to finish off the day and get into triple digits. They were only 3 points away from grabbing a bonus point with almost more than 50 over the top of ZZ there. It was a phenomenal performance from that team.
Insane. Triple digits is absolutely insane at this state of the game. I mean, second to last match day for some of these teams, because while this was our top 5 and 100 Thieves did have a phenomenal day, we still have today to get through to determine everything when it is all said and done. So let's start talking about today, because while there are some teams that have solidified their spots when it comes to our regional finals, we still have groups B and C ready to fight here today for those last remaining 7 spots. So which 7 teams will be seeking their success here today, we are going to find out. And I'm excited to talk about this lobby, because between B and C, we've got a lot of teams that we want to be talking about. So I think what is going to be important, obviously we'll show you guys all of the standings across the board, but kind of paying attention to where some of these squads are when it comes to the bubble discussion. I mean, we've got Liquid in here, we have Rock in here, THUGGETS, we've got Oblivion. 100 Thieves are back again after that absolutely insane performance. Shopify, I mean, this is not going to be an easy lobby. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. We'll take a look at what I'm talking about when it comes to where these teams are at as far as their regional finals placements. And these are the ones, like I had mentioned, that have already solidified their regional finals spots. So like we said, there's still 7 spots available that everyone is going to be fighting over here today. And then depending on how these teams that have already solidified their spots do, could be some potential for a point sponge as well. Also with a look here at our America's overall scoreboard. And one important thing to know is that obviously the teams that have 6 series played are the ones that will not be playing. That's Group A. We won't be seeing them here today. They finished yesterday. And then now it's just down to B and C to see what they can do, which means that there's a very real possibility, Dia, that, you know, Falcons, ZZ get leapfrogged depending on performances.
Yeah, it's entirely likely that we see a lot of teams passing others today, where the focus is really going to be is on the line between those making it to regional finals and not. That right now has the cutoff of Masters of Evil. I will say, in the favor of Masters of Evil, they're playing today, so they are likely going to continue, but it still is a team that is just on the line of qualification. And even this morning, we saw plenty of squads that had the opportunity to make it into regional finals barely miss out.
Yeah, and that's always the story. It's always someone separated by a point or two at the end of the day. So every single match today will matter to our squads. But let's start talking about some individual storylines that could be exciting to follow throughout the day. Genome, I want to start with you. Which team do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Develop Modern Gaming, also known as DMG, because they are developing, and I'm not going to lie, some of their compositions also pretty modern. This is, we can see there from Game 1, the only team in North America to be playing Watson right from the get-go. Also playing like a defensive crypto style, which is interesting as well. DJ Killer has also just really put himself in everyone's focus. You can see here making some really cool plays just by himself. But he is one of the highest rated players in the entire scene, not just in his team, but in the entire region right now, if you go by the absolute player value metric. Now, here's some of the stats we saw from match day 7 from these guys. They got the most kills. They got the most points overall, albeit it was a very tightly contested day. You know, they're winning with 57, not say like the 103 that we saw out of 100 Thieves yesterday. But really interested to see if these guys keep that kind of pace up, because sort of similar to some of the teams we were talking about earlier in EMEA today, it does feel like you know, Future Streams and DJ Killer here potentially could be the next wave of players to make it to the top in ALGS.
Absolutely, which is why we're constantly also talking about people making their way through Challenger Circuit as well. But for me, I want to talk a little bit about VP here today. We've got the trio of MT, Lou, and Slayer. And now, while it might look like when it comes to their champs points that they are a little bit on the bubble, they are technically over that 2,600 mark, so they should be relatively safe. Not 100% though when it comes to their performance for me. This is why I want to talk about them, okay? Because I really want them to get their consistency back on board. We saw them kick off the split in match day 2. That was their first match day, and they won that first match day, looking absolutely unstoppable, and then had a big fall off throughout the rest of the split. Up until, though, this most recent play day for them. This was a little bit of a return to form, having gotten 3rd place with some really solid stats. And this is kind of what we were looking for, a little bit of a resurgence of what we know that they are capable of, because they really want to kind of continue to snowball and set that confidence up well when it comes to not only regional finals, but then, of course, you know, playing at that international stage at Champs. But Dia, final team, who do you have? Tell me about them.
Well, I said I like to say THUGGETS' name, and I wasn't lying, so I decided to give myself a whole segment on them. I'm really looking at the THUGGETS coming into today, and it isn't just because I like to say their name, although I can't lie, that did play a part in it. A big part of why I want to focus on this team is because when we look at how they play Apex Legends, they actually do it in a relatively textbook way. I think they have a great idea of where to play, when to play, and how to do it. Their transitions have been a point of struggle for the team, and even despite that, statistically, the team lands themselves pretty well. They're currently sitting on the bubble of teams that could qualify to regional finals at 21st, when all you need to be is 20th to move on to the regional finals. But the most important thing about this team is going to be the way that they play together. They did find a win last time they played, and they've improved in between their match days. The first time BNC matched up, they placed 18th. The second time, they placed 11th. This time, who knows? Maybe the THUGGETS just keep on going.
I mean, I love it. Another great choice. There's so many good teams to be following here today. And at the end of the day, though, it's really going to boil down to which of those 7 are able to step up to the plate and get those final 7 spots. But we'll talk a little bit about possibly make their way in off of additional spots being opened up. But there's so much going on that we're going to be keeping track of. Don't worry, we'll make sure that you stay informed on where all of that is shaking out. Now, one of the biggest parts, though, to champs is obviously all of you at home, our spectators. Do you want to be showing up to come see champs? Because we can tell you a little bit more about that right now. Obviously, we're going back to Japan, but we wanted to give you a little bit more information on the where, when, how you can get your tickets and make sure that you lock them in for this big event, because our tickets will be live next week on our ticketing partner site, Zyko, on October 11th at 1 a.m. PT, 4 a.m. ET, 5 p.m. JST, which of course will be during our first regional final of Split 2. So you can find more information as that day nears on our ALGS website's Year 5 Championships page. See all the latest information about champs here, from tickets to exciting news and updates, of course. So that way you guys can make sure you get in there nice and early and get your tickets to come hang out with us in Japan, because it is going to be an absolute blast. I cannot wait to see how all of that goes. I know that Dia and Genome are very excited to be back in Sapporo as well. It's going to be a great time, Genome. It's going to be great.
Oh, it was the best time last time. Yeah, look, if you can go, absolutely do go. Japan's amazing. Apex is amazing. Apex in Japan, like, can you even imagine? It's so
double whammy.
It's so much fun.
Not to fixate on the wrong thing, but it did happen right next to the Winter Festival last year. We had a lot of beautiful ice sculptures. It was like, obviously we're all there for Apex Legends, but the fact that Sapporo has a huge cultural event at the same time did not go unappreciated.
Absolutely. Which is why you guys got to make sure you get your tickets so we can see you there. But let's start talking about our match day, okay? Let's start talking about what we have coming up, because first things first, we've got a classic map rotation here today. First 3 on World's Edge, second 3 on Storm Point. So let's start breaking down what this could potentially mean here just a little bit. Another opportunity for you to get real analytical here, Dia, because we're going to take a look at some of the historical rings that we've gotten throughout the split here in Americas, and I want to pick your brain a little bit on these.
I mean, you're thinking the same thing that I'm thinking. We are so far south in Americas. Our single climatizer zone sticks out like a sore thumb. I will say, on that same match day 2, took us all the way to the opposite side as well. So just interesting match day 2 things. However, the fact that the zones in the Americas are largely central is going to lead some teams to be more advantaged than others. And make no mistake, they have this data when they're picking their POIs as well. So when you look towards where the teams are dropping, we've got CIMJ over in Monument with nobody in Fragment, actually setting themselves up for a decent bit of success. We've got the Masters of Evil, who are sitting at Landslide, and with Masters of Evil being a bubble qualifying team, it's very likely that being able to play center zone consistently will get them there. We got the THUGGETS over at Staging, DGAP at Harvester, and even Orin Esports over at Lava Siphon. They could be the big beneficiaries. I think the question mark for me today is going to be 100 Thieves at Geyser, a typically considered very weak POI, but given the amount of central and southern zones that we've had, I'd say Geyser's probably looking a lot better this split than it has in the past. Still, 100 Thieves playing out of Geyser? Kind of strange.
Anything else jumping out at you here, Genome?
Well, I mean, Geyser might have been not the best pick, but if you look at the map, right, they've actually, they can potentially split a bit over to Ghost Town, maybe even to Siphon North, maybe to Fragment as well. There's actually a lot of potential scrap looting around 100 Thieves. So the way that the map has worked out, actually not too bad at them at all. I mean, the other thing, of course, is Skyhook East going unpicked means that Liquid have like a quarter of the map to themselves. That's just bonkers for that. And I guess one last thing to note will be Big Maud. So it's dropped down to a 38th pick. It really has fallen down the standings these days. And one of the reasons is, I don't know if this was announced anywhere, but the guns no longer come with the Rampart hop-ups. It was one of the big reasons to drop there, right? And now that hop-ups are integrated into the guns, you don't start off with those buffed weapons at Big Maud.
Love that catch. I love the catch. And I love the shout out for Liquid as well. Let's see if we can actually get a Sky any final circle there at Northwest something here in the Americas, and maybe that could benefit them. Yeah, or just anything up in the Northwest half. It's going to be a fun day. Now, of course, before we dive into match number 1, guys, if you want to make sure you're keeping yourselves up to date with everything that we've got going on here in the ALGS or just across the board, make sure you're following us on social media, X, YouTube, Insta, and TikTok. Both Insta and TikTok are new at Play Apex Esports, and then Twitch at Play Apex. And as long as you're following along with us on any of our social media platforms, you won't miss a single second of anything that we've got going on, whether that's ALGS, champs, fun side content, giveaways. As long as you're there, you won't miss it. So make sure, of course, that you are following. I think this is going to be a really fun day, and that we've kind of set the stage with our storylines. We know which teams to be keeping our eyes out on. Will we get a back-to-back repeat triple digits performance? Well, we are moments away from finding out, because match number 1 is ready to get underway. So Dia and Genome, let's kick off the final regular season day for Americas.
It still sends shivers down my spine to think that this is the final day of the regular season. It feels like it all goes by so fast. It really is only 9 days, although we do spread it out over the weekends, Genome, but only 9 days is a very short amount of time, all things considered. It is, and it's the last one. It's the last region, last one off the block, right? I mean, we've got APAC South, APAC North, and EMEA have all locked in their 20 regional finalists now. It's just one left. Just one more region to decide. And we kick it all off here on World's Edge. Yeah, this is the best opportunity as well to make use of, in this particular case, Face It Watch, because there are a lot of different teams that are on the bubble of qualifying, that are struggling for dominance in the region, that are trying to make it to regional finals or trying to finish their season with a bang. I know you've got your favorites at home. You can check them out with Face It Watch, and most importantly, you can watch the map while you do it all. I love having map feed up. I've got it up all the time. I talk about it all the time, so don't worry if you don't have map feed up, if you don't want to have another monitor open. I got you. I'm going to keep you updated, but just in case, having the map feed open is always going to give you some critical context, and that is available exclusively through Face It Watch. As we do jump into our first game of the day, in the last day of the regular season, Genome, we will be starting things off on World's Edge, and I am very curious to see, map feed or no, where on earth this takes us.
Oi, oi, oi. Well, 100 Thieves They are currently looting Geyser. We've got DMG loading in. They are, as we mentioned, the only Watson team in the lobby. North America known for having a very homogenous set of team compositions, and that is absolutely the case here once again. If we go to, if I'm having a quick check of Rooney at our stats, we've only got 4 different compositions. 17 teams are playing Alta Caustic Newcastle, and then we've got 1 team each playing Alta Caustic Crypto, Crypto Watson Wraith, and Caustic Newcastle Wraith. So 3 outliers and 17 sheep. Are we allowed to call them that?
You know what? Sure. Why not? Why not? I don't think there's anything inherently negative about sheep, so I think it works.
Okay.
I am surprised, though, to not see anybody running Gibby Caustic Newcastles. That seems to be the flavor of the week, shall we say, just a little while ago.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Gibby is more valued on Storm Point, especially if you're running a Trident POI and looking to make those bubble rotates. But that doesn't mean we haven't seen it on, World's Edge or E-District at all. So, yeah, I do agree with you. It'll be interesting to see if it creeps in later on in the series. I would expect so.
If only we weren't banning Caustic or Newcastle. But
he could be back.
He could be back. He could be back. He could be back. He could be back. My man gives me hope. You guys likely saw the ring that was popping up, but just in case, let's talk about this one a little bit. Ring is bringing us all the way over to the eastern side, just around that. I think you called it Ghost Town. Some people call it No Name, but north of where 100 Thieves Landing Geyser. And fortunately enough, 100 Thieves have just swooped down into Big Mod, gotten the ring scanning, gotten out.
Yeah, it's always a little annoying, of course, when you have to negatively rotate. Well, I mean, not that they would have thought they were necessarily, but you go one way, have to hit the scan, and then you realize the ring is so close to you, but it's in the opposite direction. And all that means is there's potential for teams like Virtus.pro, who pulled up from Big Mod and went over them, obviously, with that scan happening earlier. And now a team that was further away and had less priority ends up on the wrong side of you.
All of a sudden, got big problems in your way. Virtus.pro, however, have some problems of their own. Controlling this high ground is going to be tough. As a team that rotated early, have relatively few meds, and even lower Evo, they have to not only watch their fronts and keep teams in Fragment and Monument honest, but also watch their backs, because 100 Thieves or DMG, Pioneers, Unreal Nightmare could all come up from this direction. I like that Slayer is just keeping his eyes peeled on the horizon, making sure nobody walks up on the team. Yeah, well, Fire Stray is right behind them. And you can see it looked like MT was actually playing for the Newcastle res, like potentially get knocked like he just has been right now. In order to give his Newcastle extra Evo and get onto blue shields. But of course, it's not a play without risk when you've got someone on your back. Luckily, Fire Strays have opted to go further around and look to be going through the Vault Tunnel instead. Unreal Nightmare also doubling back on their own rotate. They wanted to go through Big Mod, ran into DMG, and now we're going to run into DGAP. Unreal Nightmare, unfortunately, cannot find a frictionless rotate. They do still have Jump Tower next door to them if they're able to disengage. You don't want to take it with a team looking straight at you. But DGAP don't seem too interested in taking an aggressive fight either. They're here to defend their territory, but not too much more. A quick rotate from Unreal Nightmare takes them into the center of Lava Siphon, which actually puts DGAP in kind of an awkward position. You were rotating, a team popped up in front of you, and now they're behind you. Do you go forward or do you go backward?
Hard to make that decision. Luckily, they've got the Crypto, one of the 2 teams in the lobby, running it to be able to scout out their surroundings and help them make that decision. Moving over to Fire Strays. Yep, who, as we said, were sort of heading in that tunnel direction. They've got 100 Thieves ahead of them in this tunnel, and DMG pulling up behind here.
Yeah, 100 Thieves being in the tunnel alongside them does make me really uncomfortable for both teams, but mostly for Fire Strays, if I'm honest, because 100 Thieves have a much less risky position when it comes to their placement in the Americas. We know the 100 Thieves are going to regional finals. Fire Strays actually might not. They're right on the cusp and are one of the many teams from Group C that have not secured their place in regional finals. In fact, quick note on that. Group C has 5 teams that have not secured their spot in regional final. Group B only has 1.
Interesting, isn't it? It's a big difference between the groups. And as you said, different stakes here for different teams. Some teams are playing for champs, some are playing for regional finals, some are, you know, just playing to have a good old time.
We're talking about Shopify Rebellion, aren't we?
Yeah, look, these guys, I mean, look, I know it got talked about yesterday. They had a great time in scrims this week, but scrimbucks apparently don't convert all that well into real placement points as well as they used to.
Yeah, that was surprising to me. I did expect to see Shopify Rebellion popping off a little bit more, but maybe that's going to be today because, as we did mention in EMEA, the scrimbucks seems to be cashed in there. 5-star cashing in something. As FYR Strays will unfortunately fall to DMG, the first squad to go down, and not the day you want to do it on.
No, as you said, they absolutely do need those points. But, of course, so do DMG. And here they go up against, possibly, right now, if we're going off, you know, we're looking at the form guide, DR, potentially the most scary team in the entire lobby. These guys were on a tear yesterday. Their confidence is going to be sky high. I mean, Jen, obviously, you know, wasn't here for the first couple of match days, and he is making up for lost time. The guy is absolutely shredding our other pros in North America.
Yeah, plays really well with the squad, and in this particular case, keeps them quite honest. He and Phony, who was nice enough to grace us with an interview on the broadcast yesterday, brought a lot of perspective to how 100 Thieves are approaching this, and specifically in this game, it does seem like that's with a lot of reservation. They had the opportunity to jump on DMG. They had done a decent amount of damage, but didn't want to overextend and lose their position, which they prioritized over everything else. We saw them doing that yesterday with 100 Thieves, always making the most aggressive plays only for the best spots.
And if you can make that critical decision at a critical time, well, look, it lends itself to ending up with a very large scoreline. And 100 Thieves were successful more often than not yesterday. Today it's the decision to play gatekeep in the tunnel and see where the ring goes. Of course, as we saw on the map there, as Shopify have to go for a little bit of a reset here with Zainu down. Luckily, Crafter, Moby are ready at hand. The zone was shifting into Fragment East, away from the tunnel, away from, you know, maybe the more northern scenes in Epicenter, even away from the sort of lava lake that runs through the middle of Monument and Fragment that we saw it go to in our last set.
Pioneers hope to take control of the snake, do so from the inside. Everybody grouping up, but eating Peacekeeper shots to the face. Cruel Buckle stabilizes the crew. And now we've got some caustic barrels just to make sure that this spot is all the safer. The awkward part of this is that they're spending a lot of time and resources securing themselves a spot in what is not the next ring, not even close. Pioneers have some safety in Harvester, but need to get out and up towards the northeast where Grow Gaming wait for Pioneers and Unreal Nightmare to finish their fight.
Yeah, Unreal Nightmare creeping up behind now. This is one of the surprise packages, I think, for this split. Currently sitting, what, like top 10 or something? I don't think anyone would have put them that high if you were doing a prediction of where our teams ended in terms of the Americas standings at the start of the split. But they have proven over quite a few match days now that they've got what it takes. You know, I'd probably chuck them in a similar bucket to someone like DMG, who are really showing that they are, you know, perhaps the next wave.
Pioneers just going to be timing their heals for a little while, as that next wave will have to wait until next ring. This is a huge roll. I cannot believe 100 Thieves got the Mythic Crate spot. Actually, that brings up an important question. How many teams do you think about the Mythic Crate when they're rotating? Like where it's likely to spawn and what areas of the map have the most like concentration of loop? And somebody's doing that. There's an analyst out there who's doing that.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Obviously 100 Thieves have changed up their support roster recently, right? Adding Balverine in favor of longtime coach Bronzy, who had, you know, a nice send-off. It was nothing acrimonious between those, but it sure has been cool seeing their approach to the game. And obviously Balverine would have been very happy with his first day on the squad.
Huntsman needing some caustic gas. Unreal Nightmare in trouble. Trade 1-for-1. And it's up to Davis to clutch. It's absolutely possible with the altar as well. Ava's on 1 HP. But he's just taking a little too much damage and has nowhere to go. 1 second left until he's able to get out of the building. And he dips. DGAP go down meanwhile, as Oren came in for the third party, and Unreal Nightmare seemed to have gotten away. Weirdly enough, on perfect timing.
What? There's no way he gets away with this.
That's actually fine. And Oren are cooked.
I think they might be done for. Absolutely right. DMG look to be getting the better of them. Virtus.pro on the adjacent choke, also thinking about having a go at this. Grow Gaming, I thought they might finish off Unreal Nightmare as well. They were actually porting to the backside to think about getting involved in and third-partying that fight down at North Siphon, but they don't in the end.
Pioneers reset not going too well, as Mav does need everybody to join them. But at this point, with the zone starting to pull further and further south, Pioneers aren't even going to be in the game for very long. Oren even shorter as they get eliminated, and DMG eating the focus of Grow. I wouldn't be too comfortable as them either. It seems like this south side of the map, much like Game 1 in EME, or rather, yeah, but Game 1 in EMEA, has ended up being a big focal point. And if Grow Gaming can control this area, they've got a good argument for winning.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, technically below ZZ and Falcons right now, but Grow Gaming are in the prime position to actually win the America's Pro League. That's how solid they have been throughout the entire thing. I think they're the only team so far to have won 2 days as well.
I do want to quickly note for those of you to whom I was hyping up map feed earlier, we've got some nice god spots being held right now. Virtus.pro fighting for 1 with Grow Gaming, as we mentioned earlier. But then when we look a little bit further up towards the north, we've got THUGGETS dead center of zone. And when I've hyped them up in the pre-show like this, I'm not gonna let them down now. THUGGETS got god spot. I said they played textbook Apex Legends. This should be a game they're able to walk away with at least a top 3 from.
You know, in almost any other Legend composition, I wouldn't call that God Spot Dia, but because we have Caustic Newcastle, I think the position they're in, which I believe is under the bridge, will be quite defensible. That position that Grow and Virtus are fighting over, which is obviously more high ground, probably has slightly higher priority than them. But 100 Thieves also coming up with a nice spot here as they port in over from Ghost Town.
5-star, unfortunately, are taken down, and we get a nice shot of 100 Thieves, and in contrast, the THUGGETS. 100 Thieves who have fought their way here slowly but surely, and THUGGETS who very quickly rotated, leaving Din still on blue shields with this Newcastle. Not a comfortable spot at all. Pioneers are going to go down, and 100 Thieves are being focused, which might actually force them into THUGGETS.
You're seeing that mid-zone reset right now? Unreal Nightmare are directly in the middle of the final zone, and they somehow just got both of their teammates back into it. All right, sure, fair enough. Shopify Rebellion go down in the meantime. Also, Team Inferno, we've got Rock with the Kraber, and they're going to try and force their way a little further into the zone. They're just out of it right now. Potentially THUGGETS, maybe even 100 Thieves in the crosshairs.
See what Sorcerer can do with this. 100 Thieves get abducted. Jen Burton gonna go down to the nade from Lorzy. 100 Thieves in shambles right now as they get pushed by the Thuggets and taken out. Thuggets do not coexist with nobody. I'm hyping them up. I'm hyping them up. Thuggets have got this, guys.
Oh my god, VP are trying to coexist with themselves right now. They've got about a centimeter to play behind this fence, and yeah, even one single caustic barrel with the buff to the damage would probably be enough to finish them. Keon trying to see through the gas, and Virtus.pro somehow survived the pressure that Grow Gaming are exerting from this southwestern side of the zone.
Nocta's got to play pretty carefully, especially because on this high ground, you've got an insane amount of priority, but also there are still enough teams in the lobby with head peaks on you that you have to be worried. The fact that Virtus.pro survived their rotation and put themselves ahead of Grow Gaming could cause serious problems for Grow. As the Ninjas and Pyjamas go down, Masters of Evil likely to be next, sitting inside of Caustic Gas with Zone at their backs. We could be going from 9 to even 7 squads very soon. Oblivion out.
Oh my god, just gets the med kit off in time. Perfectly done. Down to the frame, but with CIMJ in this building to his right, Kuzme is going to struggle to get any further, I would say. Masters of Evil do go down. That is CIMJ finishing them off. And now we're down to 7.
This is still looking, I will say, insanely good for Thuggets. Rock, who were their next door neighbors, have committed onto a fight on the high ground that seems to be going their way, but not quite well enough. So not well enough that Din from Thuggets is able to pick up kills on Rock, who now have to reset on high ground. Unreal Nightmare are going to go down. And Rock, dead center of zone, have a lot of teams looking at them. Again, Thuggets most notably. From the low ground, it is so difficult to take this team out. I want to take a listen with Thuggets, see if they can convert this into a win.
It's top forward. Can we identify?
Yo, get nades.
Yeah, I'm grabbing.
I think there's a team up here. There might be a team on the left. I'm gonna kind of look.
I'm like on the left, bro. I don't know if anyone's left side.
Wall here. I'm like looking.
Are we good? I'm holding the right, bro. I'm holding right.
Yeah, hold it right. I think this whole hill, bro.
Yeah, we do.
Do we?
Yeah, we
Should I come to you?
Yeah, no. You should stay there. We don't want to get red.
Okay.
I'm good.
Chill, then. Chill. We don't need to even peek, bro. We literally
I know,
just play.
I have
We don't even. We play this still for KP, but we still. We want.
On your left.
Okay, that's fine. Give me. One kid. No, two. You need to get
I can
healthy,
make
then.
it. Yeah, I know.
I'm destroying the team.
I'm trying
Just
to
let him play that. Let
They
him
can
play
swing
that.
us. I know. We need to get barrels over here because they can look down on us. They're not going to be in for a long time, though.
But yeah, they're just farming the
I
other
got
one.
the full ult excel. Do you guys need?
Can we shoot him on left?
Yeah. Try to come up and
left.
rig them.
100 caustic. They're shooting.
Thuggets have identified their threats. They're focused on the team on high ground and how long they can outlast with their position. We'll see if they can convert, as right now CIMJ start eyeing the position of Thuggets and very quickly get taken out. That is 8 KP for the Thuggets from low ground, and they start moving up on Rock. A very dangerous proposition with Exterminators on one side, Rock on another. Thuggets seem to have moved themselves into a scenario where, unfortunately, their only way is between these two scary teams. Let's see what they can do. No catalyst, no safety, and Rock not willing to overextend.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've popped the evac tower. I don't know if that's going to really help them a lot. As soon as Rock start picking over, though, they are looking at Exterminators. And Thuggets maybe can just survive for the meantime. They were the ones who cleared out Virtus.pro and Grow Gaming up the top and gave themselves a chance to win this. Can they pop in here and third party at the right time?
They should be able to. I mean, Rock are resetting on this high ground, and it is disastrous for them. Exterminators go down, and a second place for Thuggets is absolutely fantastic. Rock come in. They claim the victory. But for a team like Rock to win that game and Thuggets getting second place, it is exactly the kind of thing that both squads want. Yes, Rock want to win. Yes, they want to end the season on a banger, but we're talking about Thuggets, man. Thuggets want regional finals, and with a second place here, they've taken one big step closer to it.
It was a big game. I mean, I think the mid game was fantastic. 14 kills. As we said, they killed both Virtus.pro and Grow Gaming, who I think were in good positions to cause them problems. I honestly, look, I don't want to put too much of a dampener on this, but I don't know if I agree with you there at the end, Dia. I feel like there was a window there. There was a good sort of 5 to 10 second window where they could have sent that and made a difference in that final fight, and they sat back, and then we just saw a small amount of time, which allowed Rock to peek over with the triple take, start hitting them with the 111s, and take the game for themselves. So maybe a small missed opportunity for THUGGET, but they still end up with quite a healthy margin and quite a big stash of points in that first game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this looked really good for both teams. And like you're talking about, there's likely room for improvement for the THUGGETS. In fact, that's probably why they're in 21st to begin with, is they've got a little ways left to go. Right now, the fact that they're in second with 23 points, though, is going to be a pretty big help to that particular standing. Rock do win the game with 22, and pretty well played from them as well. I mean, I loved the way that Rock was able to clean up the fights, especially using the Alter very aggressively, and they'll have access to Alter once again, as it's a caustic ban. With Rock taking the first game, THUGGETS taking the lead. We've got Exterminators right behind them at 17 points and CIMJ at 10. It is just the first game. Pretty high scores for our first couple teams. The fact that both of them are over 20 does mean that a lot of kills went their way.
Yeah, I mean, the right side of that screen is looking like a Krispy Kreme shop right there. Unfortunately, only DMG with the 6 kills.
It took me a second to figure that out. I'm going to think on it. I'm going to grab some water, and I'm going to get ready for whatever game 2 has to throw at us after the break.
But like you had mentioned, you talked about them, THUGGETS coming out the gate strong with at least a really good second place.
Yeah, and Gino mentioned this as well. I think the biggest factor in the fact that THUGGETS got second place was the fact that Exterminators, when they dropped, attracted a lot of attention from Rock. It is, in moments like this, a look one way or look another scenario, and Rock looked at Exterminators first, took them out with some fantastic play from Sorcerer, and then managed to actually get the res, which was the biggest factor for Rock. All this time on high ground is exactly what Gino was talking about, where he would have liked to see a more aggressive THUGGETS, and I have to agree, it would have likely gotten THUGGETS, if not a victory, closer to it. Second place, still fantastic for them, as we talked about, and they ended up taking points lead, which for a team that is on the bubble of qualification to regional finals is the most important thing.
Absolutely. But we do talk about that a lot, right? How sometimes, a little bit of indecision here or there can completely alter the outcome of a fight or even an entire game. Maybe we saw a little bit of that out of the THUGGETS, but it is just the first match. They did give themselves some momentum, some confidence, and now as we head into match number 2, they can potentially build off of that. As we saw in EMEA earlier, Caustic is that first ban out of the legend rotation, but as we also saw earlier, he came back in later on in the day in match number 6, so we'll have to see if the Americas do anything similar to EMEA.
At this point, I think we're banning, what was it? I think it's Newcastle next, if I'm not mistaken. And you know what? I'm going to make sure that I'm not mistaken right now. It is Newcastle next. So if we're following in the footsteps of EMEA, Newcastle will be the next band, followed by Watson. We'll see. I suspect that the Americas will go slightly differently, just because we tend to dance to the tune of a different fiddler. That metaphor came into my brain so
good.
Perfectly.
You got that
I don't
one.
even know. I don't know if anybody says that. It just sounds so right. And I guess we'll see whether it feels right to our teams as we drop into game number 2.
If they don't say it, they say it now. So.
Yeah.
What, did you being a
You can use
trendsetter?
this at home. I hope so. Our winners of game 1, Rock, starting things off in Epicenter. Also kind of a trendsetter location. I don't think Epicenter was especially popular. We used to get Survey Epi being the claimed drops before POI draft was invented. I think I'm going to use the word invented here. Created, incepted, I'm not sure. But the fact that Rock drop Epicenter and Ninjas in Pyjamas drop Survey Camp does mean that this POI's loot is a little bit more limited. The real benefit is that you get things like this, things like the ring console for advanced information, and this information leads us perfectly into where we are going, down towards Virtus.pro, DMG, and 100 Thieves.
I was hoping that they'd be getting that information because with this zone pulling as aggressively southeast as it did, obviously it's going to be favoring DMG and Stacks and VP at Big Mod. We heard Genome talking about how Big Mod hasn't been as chosen as much lately because of that loot nerf, but you do see the ring console at Big Mod as well, so VP have some information. They're going to start rotating into one of those buildings, whichever area they think that this is potentially going to be ending at, and setting themselves up permanently here as we can start to see the mass rotation coming through.
100 Thieves are getting the scan at Big Mod as well, but I want to touch on where Virtus.pro are playing. They look to be playing the furthest building, the only building that is all the way out to the eastern side, and I want to note it because it is an extremely inactive position that has the potential to win you the game. This is a bit of a gamble by Virtus.pro. If they win the game, it's great. If they end up with 0 KP and a 7th place, it's a very, very bad play. So I'm curious whether they'll stick to this or start moving around a little.
We're also still sticking with that southern and or central ring theme for the Americas so far that you talked about when you did the historic ring analysis, which does put the likes of Liquid Alienware all the way up at Skyhook with a very long road to get to where they need to be for this final circle.
CIMJ starting to show up in the final circle. And white armors and all. The epitome of a World's Edge zone rotation. It's really nothing that CIMJ have to worry about at the moment, but later on that is not going to stay true. DMG, however, making Pioneers worry, that's for sure. This fight towards the southern side of Stacks seems to be going DMG's way, and with DJ Killa on the R99, there is no mystery why. That guy is a monster.
I don't think Pioneers was ready for that. They do. You could see Mav right there managed to escape, so an opportunity potentially to maybe get the team back up here, but Mav is a solo, so this will not be super easy. Hopefully can do it without drawing too much attention, as they do have that beacon down and ready to go. So Pioneers will be respawning back in. Will not be the first team eliminated, which right now with this situation is huge.
The nades landing on Mav did make me wonder for just a second. Oh no, they're gone!
I cursed that. Oh my god.
That's okay. I think it's important to forgive yourself at times like these.
Oh my god. The timing. Are you kidding me?
That was like, because he got the res, and so that was like 1 second off of them registering as being rezzed. You don't see that every day. DGAP fighting up the hill right now. Maybe the second team eliminated if they play their cards wrong. And right now, going up the hill, it is extraordinarily difficult to actually play them right in any way. Taken out, they are the second squad to be eliminated, and the Masters of Evil are the ones to take the kills. Unreal Nightmare not in time to third party, are just going to continue on their merry way. And that means Masters of Evil inherit basically all of Dome side. Nobody else is playing this hill, which could be quite good for Masters of Evil.
The southern side of this circle right now is a bloodbath, as we've got some of the earliest exits we've seen in a while here. Already down to 18 squads. And I think everybody came ready to play here in match day 9, knowing that it's all or nothing today. Get those points on the board when you can, where you can, and that's exactly what we're seeing a lot of these teams doing. THUGGETS our second place team, but now first overall because of their performance. That was something you guys talked about. 14 kills in match number 1 for THUGGETS. They have set themselves up nicely here with lots of cover.
And it's worth experimenting. Let's see what happens with THUGGETS, because they've once again predicted a spot in zone, and the thing that I critiqued about them in the pre-show is not their zone prediction, it's not their end game play, it's their transitions from area to area. If this ring pulls away from THUGGETS, that's going to be a big problem for them.
I like that shout. It'll be fun to kind of follow along their journey and see what they're able to figure out. Meanwhile, 100 Thieves, I've been watching them do some poke damage in the kill feed, and now we get to see from their POV how exactly it's going down, because Jen is just not letting up, but it's all down to Jen at this point. Take that portal back, see if they can maybe get a bit of a reset without being followed. Meanwhile, Inferno is eliminated.
He's got the support perks on Watson, which is going to be really nice, letting Phony regen up as soon as he's picked up. And hopefully letting 100 Thieves stabilize in mod. This will not be punished by Grow Gaming because they were flanked at the time. Rock Esports was trying to poke up and see if they could take a bite out of Grow. And 100 Thieves get to reset as a result. This next ring, though, going to be very telling. Where are we going? Honestly, no huge change. Basically, everybody that thought they were in ring, they're in ring.
This is going to be an insane final circle, Dia.
What does this ring tell me? I think this ring tells me, if I'm speaking to the ring, that we're going a little bit further north towards the eggshell rather than deep into stacks. That's the vibe I'm getting right now.
Okay.
And you can feel free to call me on that later on if I'm wrong. But that seems to be the biggest shift. Shopify Rebellion making their way in from the north. Liquid Alienware right alongside them. Keep your eyes on these two teams, as them clashing last time ended up really hurting Shopify's Rebellion's chance at a rotate.
They'll also be looking to see if there's any opportunity for them to be grabbing those Evos or any additional information on the ring as they do continue those longer rotates down to the southern side, knowing full well just how many teams will have gotten in there early and already claimed some of those best positions. 5-star, though, another squad that's down there on the southern edge of the circle, looking to see if they can maybe move in, or if there are teams that will be looking their way.
Now, that is one of the big things that shifted with this next zone being revealed, if you were able to get that information, and 5-star are able to get it as they dip back into Dome and at least get the scan on where everyone is at. This ridgeline is unlikely to be a game-winning position, which puts 5-star in a very awkward spot. Do they end up sending some teams in stacks and exposing themselves to a barrage of fire, or realistically, do they fight Oblivion, who are in the tunnel that connects Lava Siphon and stacks?
And they were looking at that tunnel a little bit. I think they are aware that they do have a team in there. So we'll have to see how they handle it. Now getting to see where Liquid Alienware are, you would call that they might run into Shopify. And we see those pings coming out, but Shopify is playing it safe, staying in Geyser for just a little bit here, giving themselves some room while Liquid Alienware are determining which way they want to continue this rotation.
Both teams have placed Void Nexi. That's what we're going with.
Love
to
it.
give themselves a retreat should they continue and find a little bit of trouble. For Shopify Rebellion, that's actually extremely likely, since their choke point will take them directly into Grow Gaming. And for Exterminators, you wish that they had a little bit of a retreat. Right now, I'm not seeing a Void Nexus that's been placed for them, but since they're moving up onto this high ground and challenging 5-star, there's a world where Exterminators suddenly find one knocked and have not much that they can do about it. Let's see what the ports look like as Altar Portal does take them a little closer to the high ground. Are they winning? They've done a lot of damage. Maybe 5-star just give this up.
This is tough for 5-star too, because they don't have a lot of safe space to retreat to from here. They know they've got Oblivion in the tunnel, Masters of Evil right in front of them, who will also hear these shots coming through and be looking this direction. So Exterminators will be able to force 5-star out of the way. It doesn't put them in a great spot either, but it at least puts them safe into the next ring that they can then decide what to do from there.
Grow Gaming did take out a member of Rock really quickly. Rock are playing the Eggshell up to the north, and while Exterminators cement their position here, it's worth noting that 5-star did solve the problem earlier. It didn't end up moving on to Oblivion as Exterminators pressured them off of that fight, but that panic, that quick move, ended up getting them a spot in stacks, one that Exterminators might be looking for off this jump tower.
This is going to be risky with how many teams are in stacks right now. There's going to be lots of bullets flying through the sky. Will they be able to make it through unscathed? They try to go far east, similar to where VP is in their position, and we do finally get to see the next ring shift, and it is not what these teams were planning here, Dia. So this should be interesting as Exterminators survive and have a place to hold, at least for now.
I know you said it's not what the teams were expecting, but let's give me a little credit. It is exactly what I said was going to happen, and I am not letting that go. Ninjas in Pyjamas crack open the Mythic crate and get themselves a triple take for their trouble, should they choose to accept it. And they do not. The triple take unloved and abandoned. Tragic.
Sad. We get a look here now.
I'm almost crying. You might not believe me, but my breath hitched.
They're waiting for the Kraber because they want their own collide here in Americas as we get to take a look here at this ring. 100 Thieves set up beautifully. Shopify moving into Big Mod as well, seeing if they can maybe claim a little bit of safe real estate. And as I talk about the Kraber, it's in the hands of Karev here.
I see now why they didn't pick up the triple take. I also would not downgrade from a Kraber to a triple take. And McLovin with the G7 actually gets quite a bit of value out of this as well. With the way that hop-ups function in today's economy, having a G7 by your side can really help you, especially when you're playing Rampart and want to benefit from the additional Sheila. Ninjas in Pyjamas do have a problem to solve, though, and that is the Team Liquid Alienware actually have a pretty easy to defend position. Even with a Kraber, through an amped wall, a Kraber's doing nothing. And Karev's got to get creative with a shot angle that he's having trouble finding right now.
And he doesn't really have a lot of time to be peeking. And while all of this is happening, you could see creeping off to the side there, you've got Grow Gaming just peeking around the side of the mountain to see if maybe there's an opportunity for them to clean up. A shot was taken, Karev does not connect, but this might be the moment that they decide to move in and see if they can maybe push Tila out of their position and claim it for themselves.
Look at the amount of shields between Tila and Ninjas in Pyjamas, though. It is going to come down to a close-range fight, if anything. You can see Yanya dipping just below Liquid Alienware, and that might be the call from them. If Ninjas in Pyjamas want to play this aggressively, honestly, as Liquid Alienware, I'd be second-guessing myself, too.
A little bit of a push, a little bit of a retreat, but it does force Liquid Alienware off of them, giving Ninjas in Pyjamas just an opportunity to breathe. Vayne is down here on this lower portion of the bridge, continuing to harass, not allowing Liquid Alienware to just back off without at least a little bit of punishment here. Now Liquid Alienware find themselves backed into a corner. Meanwhile, Exterminators are moving in on VP.
Oh, and Slayer did not expect the door to go down. With Sheila in play, You're never safe, not even behind a door. Exterminators will take down Virtus.pro, and they continue their rampage as Ninjas and Pyjamas are doing much the same. Liquid Alienware down one, full thirsted. With NIP cleaning them up. You can finally get some more light ammo, because I'll be honest, I did notice they were running out, and I was starting to sweat. Liquid Alienware down 3 KP to Ninjas and Pyjamas, and this is a big question that we'll answer as well. Teams like CIMJ, teams like the THUGGETS are going to have to move on the next zone. And again, we had noted this as a potential weakness of the THUGGETS. Can they mend it for their second game and for a chance at moving into the regional finals?
We can also see that Grow Gaming did decide to back off trying to third party what was going on between Ninjas and Pyjamas and Liquid Alien, where they've now moved into Big Mod, where Shopify and 100 Thieves have been having a battle back and forth, and you can see the 100 Thieves are a bit injured here after some of that damage has come through. Grow Gaming's on the outside trying to see if they can maybe peek in, while Jen is trying to keep them at bay. And this is going to potentially be an opportunity right now for Grow Gaming to claim some serious real estate.
Sometimes you got to shotgun them, sometimes you just punch them right in the face. Jen Burton goes down, Verholst as well, and that leaves just Phony alive to try and get these reses, survive, rat, whatever he wants, but limited time to do it. Fire aren't doing too much better, as most teams are gonna have a miserable time leaving this southern side of Stacks.
This is where the kill feed is going to start lighting up, because these teams are about to go down. Okay, Oblivion injured. THUGGETS, though, surviving here so far with just a little bit of cover, and should be able to watch some of these other squads having to push out. They can see people above them. They're trying to see if they could have maybe landed that kidnap. It doesn't connect, but they are aware that they have to keep their eyes not only above but also below.
Full charge is expended. Nobody's going to be going through the wall anytime soon on THUGGETS, and for DMG it's a bit of a different story. Rock would like kills, but they'd like to win the game a little bit more, and that's the reason we don't see them extending too much to try and finish off the kills that they had on DMG, letting teams like Ninjas and Pyjamas pick some of that up. CIMJ are positioned opposite Rock.
Rock has been holding this spot for a very long time, too, so they've had the opportunity to set up quite a few of these rampart walls, as Vaxon's trying to use the Sheila, see if he can maybe clear CIMJ out. They are eliminated, and now that opens up so much breathing room for Rock until the likes of the Unreal Nightmares and the THUGGETS start to have to move in.
Vaxlon's doing the perfect thing, though, playing out, playing aggressive. As Oblivion go down, Rock's focus has to be on controlling as much of this eggshell as possible, showing as much presence as possible, because the big advantage of this eggshell is that nobody can see into it. THUGGETS try and slam on the outside and immediately are going to get melted by the Sheila. This nade is doing nothing, and this is exactly what we talked about. The movement from THUGGETS is just not there. The game plan did not allow them to survive against Unreal Nightmare, and I'll be honest, it might not even let Unreal Nightmare survive.
Yeah, because now this is the third-party opportunity that anyone who had held on to a little bit of building space was hoping for, or Esports tried. They do go down, though. Exterminators shortly follow. 100 Thieves going down on Big Mod, and this is the final collapse. And all the while, Ninjas and Pyjamas have just been waiting on the outskirts, on the northern side, looking for their moment to strike. Grow Gaming has claimed some space on Big Mod as well, as they continue to move in alongside Shopify Rebellion, trying to take out this rat in DMG, but this is not setting up Grow Gaming, as it's just down to Dropped.
With one little bit of zone left, Dropped is going to try and go for these reses, and Shopify Rebellion haven't actually stopped it just yet. They do finally, with an Altar Abduct, take out Keon. And that puts Grow Gaming right into the clutches of Shopify Rebellion, who have extended quite far to make this happen, but are going to make it happen no matter what. Grow Gaming are down. Shopify Rebellion have a nice spot. Ninjas and Pyjamas looking straight at them. We're down to 5.
Oh, that was rough. That was chaos. And the whole time, Rock has been sitting here in this eggshell, just doing a little bit of poke damage. But like you said, never fully committing, never overextending until they absolutely have to. They've got great angles on these teams that are just north of them. And Ninjas and Pyjamas have now found themselves sandwiched between Shopify and Rock when they previously had such a strong position. When it comes to the southern side, Unreal Nightmare and Masters of Evil are the only two teams to survive coming out of Stacks.
Rock have got problems that Unreal Nightmare don't. While Rails has infinite ammo, Rock has stayed in the eggshell long enough that they're starting to run out. And Unreal Nightmare, they've run out of patience, pushing up onto the Masters of Evil to finally clear their sides once and for all. Huntsman lands 1, 2, does not get the third Mastiff shot and goes down for his trouble. Kuzme and Miles still up and actually starting to reset for the Masters of Evil.
Great job staying alive there with Masters of Evil, but now you've got Shopify in the north. Rock has been trying to hold this final circle position with the Sheila walls with the Rampart walls for a while now, and Shopify are looking to see if they can maybe sneak up on them, maybe get a little bit of an angle here, and it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this. They do have Maggie, so maybe that drill will come in useful.
Already it's bought them enough space to move up. The drill alone is taking positioning away from Rock, but with Alter, anything is possible. I mean, Rock could show up right on top of Shopify Rebellion at a moment's notice, and Masters of Evil are the real X factor here. The big thing is that Masters of Evil do not want to push Rock, who are on high ground. That is sure to be in their death.
Cannot believe that Masters of Evil has managed to continue just to sneak up right on the underside of this rock and still stay alive. You can see Shopify trying to figure out what they want to do here. Are they going to go for that low ground and fight Masters of Evil, try to go for the KP, or do they want to try and stay alive, see if it forces Rock out of position as they don't have too much cover to work with? This is where it's all going to pop off, Dia. It's just this final 3v3v3.
And you called it out. Maggie is going to make the biggest difference. Drill usage is going to make the biggest difference. Rock are essentially out of space to play on the inside and have to use Alter if they want to get out. This drill could cook their entire game plan. And Rock, they're going for it. They are putting the no-win situation up against Shopify Rebellion, and they full send.
I cannot believe that happened, and somehow the shots are connecting right now. Masters of Evil, they go down trying to play third party, and Rock wins match number 2. Dia, how did they stay alive?
Their second win in a row. Rock do the same thing that they did in game number 1. They play for a power position, especially in the mid game, and this time I'd say even earlier than that. What's amazing to me is that Rock not only won that game, they managed to not run out of ammo somehow along the way, because they had no death boxes to play with. Nobody was coexisting in their space, and yet they force a fight between the other two teams, and that is always how Apex is going to go.
Rock took the fight to Shopify, and I really thought that that was potentially going to be their undoing. I thought that would be when Masters of Evil would then peek up over and do so much damage that Rock couldn't recover, but they just 3v6'd and came out on top. I mean, Rock look so strong right now, Dia. That was also a very conservative game. At the same time, like you said, like they didn't push anything. They were getting KP, but not close enough to them that they could then turn around and go get all the loot from the death boxes. So 4,500 damage essentially between the three of them and 8 kills is quite conservative, but they did it so perfectly that you end up getting a win out of it.
Especially when you put it next to your game 1 performance. A 20-point win is always going to be good, but next to another win, it's going to look even better. Shopify Rebellion do claw back some momentum in this game. We had serious questions about them. I had serious questions about them yesterday during match day 8 when it looked like they were falling apart. Even in this first game, they didn't look fantastic. But Shopify Rebellion do manage to get a little bit of momentum in this second game, putting up 16 points. It is still going to leave them pretty far off the top of the leaderboard. 5th place right now, where Rock are at 42, dwarfing everyone else's points.
And look at the difference as well with the double digits in the KP for our top 4, and then it falls off pretty aggressively from there. We talk about point sponges all the time, and we're seeing exactly that happen just across multiple teams right now, which makes it even harder for the teams at the bottom to get the points that they're going to need. So we're going to need to see some of these squads picking up quickly because we only have 4 matches left. But of course, it means we also have 1 more match left on World's Edge. So before we dive into it, we're going to send it to a short break. Don't go anywhere.
huge, you know, and it is surprising to see Rock taking such a huge lead, especially in a zone like this that actually looked like it could have gone out of their control.
Yeah, look, I turned up. It was had a bit of deja vu. 3v3, v3. Rock's in a good spot. And then, but yeah, my lord, the altar plays in this final zone were just so much fun. I mean, you see Shopify just fishing, baiting the hook here, but nothing's biting. And then all of a sudden, we see Rock pop out of the egg. And it was them really that caught the big fish, wasn't it? I was wondering actually if you put a void passage to the top of the egg, whether you can pop out on the top of it or if it just like pops you out and spits you out on the other side. Either way, they found some very creative ways to pop in and out, do a lot of damage without taking too much themselves. It was really the efficiency in trading that won this one for Rock.
I know that we just ran it. I want to run, if we can, the last couple seconds of this again, because I realized that I even got confused in those last couple seconds because Shopify Rebellion are waiting on the eggshell. I thought they popped out, popped back, like baited a fight and popped back in. Instead, it's a long-range altar portal from the Masters of Evil on low ground that puts them directly between the two teams. That's I mean, wow. It is a small difference, but it is a huge difference in terms of how much risk Rock actually had to engage in order to win that game, which is ultimately very little now.
That's super cool. Yeah, because obviously we didn't really get to see the Masters of Evil POV at all in that sort of last section. So yeah. But then after that, yeah, it does change up a little bit. We've had some altar bans. We've had crypto bans, even in the in Americas on the third game on a district. So yeah, I think it could be one of those three: altar, crypto, or what?
Certainly seems like the global meta, at least in the West regions, is what I'm going to call them, the EMEAs and the NAs, is more homogenous than it may be across the rest of the regions. Absolutely. With the Americas really being the epitome of that. We do tend to agree on one or two compositions, like we talked about, the sheeple. But you were absolutely right. As we pop into our third match and our final match on World's Edge, Watson is the most picked legend and will be banned moving into game number 4. So enjoy while you can, because next match on Stormpoint, you are eating grenades.
No castle walls, no interception pylons. There is nothing that will be eating up those nades. And the other two we'd mentioned were only just behind. So Watson's up at 80% of the pick rate. But Alter and Crypto, the other two that we said had a chance. And it might just depend on, you know, which particular teams you've got in the lobby that have a sort of fixation one way or the other. But they were up at 70%. So we are seeing a lot of those three. Also, can I just say, if we're going off the sheep, you know, sort of metaphor here, I just realized that works even better, because the teams who aren't playing, you know, the bunker sort of comps, which is the most prevalent one, therefore the sheep, they're actually the aggro teams. So they're like the wolves on playing edge and trying to hunt the sheep down, right?
Whoa. Okay, wait, I see the thematic thread that you're weaving here, and I like it. I like it a lot. I am looking forward to seeing a few more Maggies on that thread as well, because seeing that come out from Shopify Rebellion was quite exciting, and we've got some on Fire, we've got some on DGAP as well. Maggie is increasingly a prevalent pick, so much so that we're even seeing the ninjas and Pyjamas pick this up.
Yeah, I was really hoping in that last circle in game 2 that we'd see some really clutch Maggie drills come out, but it seemed like there was just enough space inside that dome for Rock to be able to dodge them, and they were mostly used on Masters of Evil. We see Monsoon pick up an early finish there onto Serial Cat, so that's 1 down already for 5 stars.
Given the timing with which that door opened, they almost stuck 5-star as well. And the fact that 5-star have stayed in this building or in this area likely means that Oblivion are going to find them. We'll see what actually occurs, as there is a little bit of wiggle room in Thermal Station for everyone to retreat into. That includes Oblivion, Unreal Nightmare, and 5-star, the teams that are there. But when fiery Maggie balls come out, things can get a little bit spicy, and Virtus.pro are experiencing that at least firsthand. Sitting in Harvester right now, they've got the one death box to work with, but a defensive position seems to be favoring them, as they haven't planned out their rotation that would take them into the Mirage à Trois area where we seem to be going. Now, there's an important question here, because we talked about how we hadn't had any north zones. Does Mirage à Trois count as a north zone?
Oh man, I feel like so where I live in Melbourne, it's like like people only talk about the west and the east in Melbourne, but it's like I'm like in the north, like sort of like on the cusp of both, and I feel like you're asking me the same question. It's like you want me to commit one way or the other when it kind of doesn't matter.
You know what? I'll accept that. I'll accept that you don't have to commit. I won't give you that it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But I will give you that you don't have to commit. And I respect your lack of commitment. Unreal Nightmare. They are wondering where they'll commit themselves.
Well, tell me, where do you think it is? Then? Answer your own question, dear.
So it's an interesting question that you raise. Let's talk about the Kansas City Pioneers rotation for a second,
Unreal.
shall we?
Unreal. Won't answer the question he poses himself.
I am, as I continue to dodge this question, increasingly curious about Rock's positioning, be it relative to the leaderboard or relative to this game, because they are much less safe than we've seen them in the past. This graveyard, as some call it, could end up being one for Rock as they eat nade after nade. No res on Sorcerer just yet. Maggie drills coming in to harass them. Leaves Rock with basically no options. Backslot doesn't even have a safe way out of here. Is there a Void Nexus that could take them to safety? Or will this just take them to their deaths?
Look, I'm just trying to work out. I mean, look at the... Oh, no, my map's frozen. That's why I'm not seeing them zip around. Now that I've done that... okay, so they go back to Landslide. I'm surprised it took them that long, DR. Like, were they that obsessed with sitting in that position that they didn't want to give it up? Because, you know, they've lost a member in their hesitance to retreat.
Also a bit of a confusing move for me, I'm not going to lie. I can't bring a lot of clarity to what led Rock to this delayed decision when they had safety and Landslide, but that safety does at least extend to the fact that they had Crafter as well. So able to pick up the banner and res their teammates. They now really only have Orin to contend with, that and perhaps 100 Thieves, who are considering a rotation up to Landslide themselves. This could put both those squads into each other's paths, with 100 Thieves being one of our squads to run baggy and to be the more aggressively oriented composition. The Wolves, shall we say.
The Wolves on the hunt. Unreal Nightmare. Not... okay, they must be something else, because they're not the sheep, because they're not running the same composition. Well, actually, now kind of everyone's caught up to them, but they have been playing this composition. Okay, I don't know. Look, this metaphor is going to fall apart if we try and fit Unreal Nightmare into it. There must be like alpacas or goats or something, but...
yeah, I am begging you not to think about this too hard.
Okay, all right, I'll just give it up. Ninjas in Pyjamas. We can see where all of the teams now are pulling into towards Mirage à Trois, as we said. That's where the circle's heading. Shopify Rebellion, of course, taking their sweet, sweet time as they love to. Orin Esports very much up the north as well. They've currently only got a smattering of points. They are one of the teams that would love to pile a couple more on. They will need a significantly higher finish to enable them to qualify for regional finals. At the moment, they are well off the pace.
With this next zone pulling us a little bit further into the corners of Mirage Etoile and Lava Fisher, Virtus.pro are going to have a ring scan available to them. I believe 100 Thieves, who now have Landslide themselves, will as well. And Oblivion, coming out of this side by Thermal Station, actually could dip back into Thermal and get a ring scan themselves, should they wish to. And it is uncertain whether they'll actually think that that's worth it or not. I want to quickly note as well, remember how Rock took a really long time to rotate out of that position into Landslide? Well, they've rotated right back into the graveyard that they originally went out of and seem to be faring better, but that's really risky.
Fool me once. Fool me twice. Shame on you. I guess we'll see what happens. Maybe they can avoid the Maggie drills a little bit better this time. We head well down south. We're watching the Longbow do some serious damage to, I think that's DMG on the wrong side of that sniper rifle. Of course, the Sentinel not in the game right now. So if you're a sniper enjoyer, mostly it's the charge rifle, but we have actually seen a surprising number of longbow shots come through so far here in North America.
Yeah, the Skull Piercer access has been quite nice. Maybe not as quite as nice as it was for 30-30 enjoyers, but nice enough to at least let it not be too punishing. And we definitely saw Ava making good use of it just then, now making good use of the Peacekeeper to try and defend from DMG. But at this point, once DMG have a knock and once they've got a clear line of sight on you, it's 1 KP that gets given up, and it's up to DGAP not to take this fight, but to run from it.
Whoa. Sniper shots ring out. Amelie, does she know that DJ Killer is here lurking? As we mentioned at the start of today, one of the most dangerous players in the lobby. Meanwhile, Future streams. He wins his one against James Fearless.
Zone helping out a lot. That Skynade did make me clench. I'm not gonna lie. DJ Killa, after popping this medkit, should have a way in, but gets caught by the thermite instead, and it's Ava that's going on the push. DJ Killa phases in aggressively. Future streams healing on the low ground. Got backup on the way, but again, Zone just doing a little bit too much right now. It takes a long time, but DGAP do eventually go down, leaving just one squad, the Victors, DMG entry. DGAP, an unfortunate goodbye.
Trigger discipline just a little bit better for the DMG player there, as Zainu pulls out both of the light weapons in order to put paid to Oren. Esports, who now are down to 1 as well. A lot of fights happening well within the zone right now. A lot of zone damage being taken by all of the teams getting into engagements in the last couple of minutes.
Shopify Rebellion extending out for the kills, though, is very much in line with the scrims that we were talking about this week. The scrims that led us to believe this would be a titan of a team moving into the weekend. Want to see if they can continue this trend or if it'll get shut down like it was yesterday. Still very much to determine the flavor of this lobby, whether it is one that is more risk aggressive or risk averse. Oblivion, for their part, extremely risk averse, as we have seen multiple times, and Team Inferno are watching them get on and off the zip line like 4 times. Don't find a knock, but I think Team Inferno likely pretty confused by whatever just happened. Oblivion, we'll see if they end up landing safely. Keep your eyes on the kill feed just in case, as doesn't look like it went too well.
Rough times. A lot of teams. They were flying over a lot of teams, and we know how deadly any of those mid-range weapons are now. The marksmans, the scouts we've got in there, 30-30s will, just a couple of bullets will have you bleeding out on the ground as we see multiple members of Oblivion. I mean, they even had the Gibby. That's what you were asking for, Dia. Oblivion bought it out here in Game 3. Sadly, the other most creative comp, probably DGAP with Lifeline and Maggie. Obviously, we also saw them see DMG get the better of them.
Maybe not flourishing in this particular game. We'll have to hope that these picks, these creative compositions, can find a little bit more security in the later stages when everybody is forced out of comfort due to the legend bans. Shopify Rebellion playing in an uncomfortable area themselves. They do have a truck to play as a central position, but very much out in the open. 100 Thieves are making this a very scary place to be. Orin Esports experiencing that firsthand, and now we'll see Shopify Rebellion and 100 Thieves start to poke at each other, with 100 Thieves having the advantage, at least in a head peak right now. The zone right at their backs does cause a bit of a problem for them.
Arna struggling. It's only the Crypto left up, and I'm not sure he's even going to be able to get a res or a reset onto the Watson player. CIMJ similarly in a rough situation. They're on the low ground, kind of in the middle of nowhere. They've got about 6 teams behind them who are about to make their rotate, but it's 100 Thieves versus Shopify Rebellion. An exciting matchup here.
As the THUGGETS go down, 100 Thieves look for Shopify. I'm loving the EVA 8 play out of Jen Burton, but I hope that it's lovable enough to give them the win against Liquid Alienware, who come in for the third party and immediately take out Phony and Verhulst. With Virtus.pro on the other side, we'll be saying goodbye to 100 Thieves momentarily. Nobody can stand in the face of 3 different teams shooting at him from different directions. 100 Thieves go down. Jen Burton's fancy feet not saving him, and Liquid Alienware move on back to Fisher, where they actually want to play the rest of this game. Virtus.pro doing the same with this small train cart that will provide them safety, but not on the next ring close.
Yeah, look, fancy feet is certainly one way to talk about a controller player who unfortunately cannot move while they are trying to get a shield swap in front of 3 different teams. It was a little bit rough in the middle there for 100 Thieves. I'm surprised that you know, Shopify lasted as long as they did, but now having gone out in 16 as well, you know, Team Liquid Alienware really did get the better of them, and now are in a fantastic spot as one of the teams playing from the Lava Fissure side. And from that north side, you know, I think they really will be able to control a lot of this fight as teams start having to pull off of Mirage Etoile.
Virtus.pro defensive EMP for them wins them the fight against DMG. Orin Esports going to fall as well. That to Team Liquid Alienware in the north, and we've got yet another aggressive EMP, this time out of Rock, as they take space against CIMJ, but ultimately give up Deed's life in the process, being pushed from behind. Rock have to reevaluate their priorities. They eat an EMP, have no defensive positioning, and 2 teams, maybe 3 looking at them. Unreal Nightmare, one of those squads playing the outside of the fence line as CIMJ do go down. Unreal Nightmare, they are still fighting up against Rock and VP on the inside. Rock help take out Unreal Nightmare, and VP come in thinking they'll clean it all up, but with Wu on 1 HP, who's to say RE45 does not do enough? And Sorcerer is the last man standing in what we can now absolutely call the graveyard.
Yes, it is 100% living up to its name in this game, and I think, surely, that's the end of Rock, right? I mean, look at all the death boxes. You can see the skulls in front of Niesel right now. And he's just going to loot as much as he is able to carry. I'm sure there's a gold bag in there somewhere for him to enjoy. And with that, Oblivion, I think actually are going to have a really good chance of running out some placement points here, unless the remaining member does get fanned out. Meanwhile, pretty much every other squad is sitting up or under Mirage Etoile.
That's going to be a mass exodus that we're going to see claim many lives, perhaps even Jellies, in the next couple of seconds as they heal up, hoping to stay for a few more seconds, making it at least up to 5th place, perhaps even further. The Ninjas in Pyjamas, one of our squads that will have to leave. They've got an aggressive composition with which to do it, but that means not a lot of safety once you hit the floor outside Mirage Etoile, where you've got all of Grow Gaming waiting for you, and unfortunately eating a lot of damage. Liquid Alienware dropping down for this is actually kind of wild. With a pylon on the inside, they don't get a lot of damage done up front, but that does not matter to Yanyu, who swings in with the Peacekeeper and now drills this team to death. defensive fence lines out from Jaguares, and Liquid Alien will have to avoid disaster here. Ninjas in Pyjamas contributing from on high ground. Let's see what this name can do. Grow Gaming are out. Not gonna come through onto Team Liquid. But Liquid aren't resetting up on high ground. They're staying on the low ground.
And there's an amazing rat play coming through from Blixer, who has somehow avoided detection this entire time. Remember, he was the single member of Oblivion who managed to make it through on their rotate from Thermal. Oh, jeez. Look, yeah, Ninjas in Pyjamas now, who seem to have swapped places somehow with Team Liquid, have taken the high ground. Not only that, I mean, Kurev with the pylon from up here is actually probably going to save them from a lot of the ills that could befall them. The one Exterminator member is still up on top of Mirage Twat. Did they just call in a Moby?
Yeah. And we're watching it go off.
God.
Ninjas in Pyjamas can't do anything about this.
Oh my God.
Exterminators get both reses off just as the zone is about to close. We've got one more team exiting from Mirage Twad.
Absolutely gross. Insane that they managed to find a position that was, I mean, Ninjas in Pyjamas had nothing else to do but to try and look and find an angle there, and they still couldn't. That's incredibly well done from the Exterminators to find a safe angle to pull that res off. Meanwhile, Blinkster, no! Someone's finally seen him, and the issue with one person seeing him is the whole lobby sees where those traces are going.
Seems like the Exterminators really did end up living up to this, jumping down onto Blinkster. We've still got 4 squads left, but they found the rat, and Exterminators are not going to give up easily. Ninjas in Pyjamas doing the same thing to Liquid that Liquid did to Grow moments before. Naughty already down, Jelly fallen, Exterminators are out. That means Oblivion's rat is still alive. Blinkster right underneath his vein right now. Slowly but surely, Ninjas in Pyjamas are going to have to give up the high ground. And this is where they could really run into trouble.
Yep, slowly is one way to put it, but these drills are just dominating Team Liquid Alienware. Finally, Nip do find the shots to take down.
Here they go.
Blinkster, but here we go, 3v3.
Wrecking Ball comes out. Kurev trying to retain as much high ground as possible. Does end up watching McLovin and Kurev go down. This is so rough. Liquid Alienware pull off the most insane reversal of all time and take the 3rd win of the day. I will say, Genome, for you, Liquid Alienware win our 2nd Northern Zone on all of World's Edge.
It was very well played from them. I mean, they had that sort of tracked position. Somehow it swaps over with Ninjas in Pyjamas, and then you think they're going to eat about, 400 damage from drills and balls each as they even just approach that fight, and then somehow come out on top.
Yeah, I am because we have got only 3 more games and very few regional spots left to claim.
Yeah, I think Storm Point is going to be a little messy in the most fun and chaotic way that Apex Legends could possibly be. This was quite the first half, to say the least. And I cannot believe that this is what we are getting right now, just out of World's Edge alone. So we're going to take a quick break, let our players kind of take a deep breath here as we go into our halftime segment, because it's time to start talking about a couple of these other regions. And for everyone at home, let's dive into what you might have missed, because while we did match day 9 for EMEA earlier today, and while we're currently in match day 9 for the Americas, APAC North wrapped up their entire region over the last couple of days. So we're going to do a quick check-in and see how all of that went. Genome, first, tell us about match day 8.
Yeah, match day 8 was a fun one. I mean, you might have thought it was a spicy sausage to have 2 games of Caustic in EMEA earlier today, Glitter, but we had a full set, a full 6 games of Caustic, because one team, very much like DMG, decided not to play him in the first round, and that meant Newcastle actually got banned out first, and then it was a whole sort of set of ridiculousness from there. This was one of the ridiculous moments where Eulariman almost pulled off a 1v1v3 as he takes down 2 members of Riddle, and I swear on my life he would have taken down the 3rd if he didn't get his head snapped off by a Kraber the next second by Tider. At this point, you're like, well, obviously Riddle are going to take this out. It's you know, they'll just get a couple of reses against Penota here. No, what you haven't seen is there's 2 TIE members raining down from the sky right now. Yep, that's a nice last second respawn from the ship here, and the 3v3 ensues somehow from the situation we were in just a second ago. Riddle Order do end up clutching this one out, but it's kind of strange that it even came down to a clutch. In the end, it was Eulariman with 33 kills. He needed just 2 in the final game to get the record, which Asia's broke just last week at APAC South. He unfortunately got 0 and ended on the 33 and didn't quite make it there, but nonetheless, Unlimit do win the day.
Crazy pop-up performances, but that was just day 8. Of course, then we have to talk about the story of the day for match day 9, because overall that was really Fnatic. They won the series by just 3 points over Soten in second place, with a first, second, and third place finish across the board. But we did have some standout moments as well, and specifically, first of all, this match 2 win by Know About Me was one of them. A team that had a strong final day of competition, landing at 5th overall. However, much like Cat Jam on the day prior, it just wasn't enough to get them through to the regional finals with a final result of 23rd overall. And then, of course, Riddle Order in match number 5, they win it, which was also the same match that they had won previously in day 8. So maybe 5 is their lucky number. I don't know. Either way, after they ended up with placements, after everything, they ended up with placements in 6th and 10th on days 8 and 9, which meant that they settled in the middle of the pack at 10th overall on the leaderboard heading into regional finals. You can see just how close it was up on the top side of things there. Unlimit also finding themselves in top 3 after a strong prior day of competition as well. So APAC North has really been heating up here, Dia.
Yeah, I mean, Unlimit are absolutely the squad to keep your eyes on. However, I'm going to extend a little bit of this down to Black Sheeps. I think they are a team that everybody should be watching right now, especially as they are in a spot championship point-wise that could very easily be opened up by regional finals across the globe. There is a pretty significant chance that we see Black Sheep end up playing on the championship stage, but it is going to be reliant on their position in regional finals, hopefully boosting them up a few more placements, which is achievable, but then also what everyone else is doing and how many other teams are qualifying. So a team to keep your eye on for sure.
Yeah, so now that everyone at home knows what's going on in the other regions, and there's going to be more regions finishing things up here this weekend, so lots of information coming your way for ALGS if you're just joining us. But if you are just joining us, let's also talk about champs and how you could go, because obviously we talk about it all the time. We are going back to Sapporo, and we wanted to give you all a little bit of information on when you can get your tickets locked down for the big event. Now, ticket sales will be live next week on our ticketing partner site, Zyko, on October 11th at 1 a.m. PT, 4 a.m. ET, or 5 p.m. JST during our first regional final of Split 2. So if you want to get up nice and early to get those tickets, you absolutely can. Now, you can find more information as that day nears on our ALGS website's Year 5 Championships page. See all the latest information about champs here, from tickets to exciting news and updates. All right. Hopefully you guys are locking down those tickets, but that's not the only thing we have to talk about here today, okay? Because if you're like, well, what do I do once Split 2 is done? There's so much time between then and chips. No, because we have more Apex Legends coming your way. Because if you saw it last year, the Red Bull Legends Inn is going to be coming back. If you don't know what I'm talking about, live in Chicago, live from the Godfrey Hotel, let's check it out.
Yo, nobody does it like us. The unstoppable, the unbeatable. Are we here now? Let's get it.
We've taken over the Godfrey Hotel. It's different, it's unique, it's nothing you've ever experienced before.
The room was pretty sick. I hope all the competitors sleep well after we kicked her.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Let's rock it.
Are you kidding?
Everybody's dying the zone. Crook goes down to Timmy and Hal.
I mean, that was insane.
It's Timmy's Legendary Lather, the soap that brings champions to life.
Oh my God.
Go live in the Godfrey Hotel.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
Red Bull Legends Inn is returning this December 5th in Chicago, Illinois to the Godfrey Hotel, where 19 teams will compete live in an Apex Legends Duos tournament for a $25,000 prize pool. If you think you and your duo have what it takes to compete against the Apex pros, well, signups are open now at battlefy.com/Red Bull Legends Inn to compete in the online qualifiers on October 25th and 26th, where 2 duos will win the opportunity to compete live in person at the Godfrey Hotel, Chicago. Must be 18 or older to register. More info can be found at redbull.com/Legends Inn. Make sure you get signed up for that, because I got to host that last year and it was an absolute blast. It's Apex Legends like you've never experienced before. Definitely check it out. But I talk about this a lot when we talk about social media. We have more stuff for all of you at home, because we have a coin giveaway. Okay, we've gotten through our first 3 matches of the day. World's Edge is now done and dusted. That means we are changing things up. We're going on to Storm Point, but we are tracking with EMEA's legend bands as well. Dia, you had said you might be wondering how that was going to go. Caustic first, Newcastle next, Watson out next as we head on over to match 4. So let's talk about that, but let's also take a look at some of those historic rings like we did for World's Edge.
Yes, I'm very excited to talk about the Legends and how this is all working with it, but to put all of this in context, it is going to be largely about where the ring goes. We saw it be super important on World's Edge, and it is just as important on Storm Point in slightly different ways. It's not necessarily about getting to buildings first, but how you plan rotations, and especially in the Americas, we have seen zones basically everywhere on Storm Point. Notably, Wall is missing, and down at Cenote and Barometer are missing, which is curious when we consider that Barometer was one of the first Storm Point spots selected by Rock Gino.
Yeah, yep. It's something they have prioritized in the past. You can see now they're down over at Barometer. That's 4th pick for Rock. Obviously, with 2 wins in the bag, they're in a place where we've seen zones be, you know, like there has been a reasonable amount if we're thinking about other regions as well. Not only that, but obviously they do get that Trident spawn right down there at the bottom, so wouldn't be surprised to see them pick up the Gibby to go along with that. Then again, not everyone who's playing a Trident POI necessarily goes to Gibby. We've seen DMG play that from Lightning Rod and not necessarily have to rely on the bubbles and just full send it.
Lots of information to be considering here as we prepare to dive into match number 4, which is ready to go. So we're going to say goodbye to Dia for now. Thank you so much for your analysis as we start talking about match number 4, Genome. All right, we're going to talk about our zones. Who are we getting? Our team's currently on top right now. We've seen some really strong performances across the day, and Storm Point could be just another way to shake things up.
G-Litter. Is that how that goes?
No, never again.
That doesn't sound quite as good, does it? Yeah. Sorry. All right. We'll put that one. We'll put that one on the shelf and leave it there. We haven't got any info on where this next zone is heading just yet. Look, we get it sooner than we used to. The fact that we don't have to wait for the dropship anymore means that it happens about a minute faster, which is kind of nice. But once we do get that extra dotted circle to let us know which direction it's headed in, it does look like it might be a little west. Go west. Are you familiar with the 80s band?
No? Who is that?
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I can't help you here. I don't know what this is.
Okay. I thought you were cool, but yeah.
Maybe not. I can't help you with the reference.
They might have been a one-hit wonder.
Are they Australian?
I don't think so. Wait, let me have a look. British. No, yeah, English pop duo. Formed in 1982. We Close Our Eyes is probably the big song.
Well, that maybe would have been better suited for Mark or Dan, because then maybe they would have known. But we're getting to take a look here at the ring and see how exactly things are going to go. 100 Thieves looking very comfortable. We've got VP over there as well. Everyone over by that down beast mill area right now. This is a hard, aggressive west zone.
Yeah, I mean, talking about things that are hard and aggressive, it's Exterminators really getting into it with Grow Gaming. Didn't quite see how this one started. Did one of them send the cannon at each other? How did they find each other in the vicinity? Hard to say. Wow, getting a gold heavy mag in a zone 1 bin. That's quite lucky, actually.
Maybe a little bit of a good omen for them.
Maybe.
Heading into this game. A little bit of good RNG luck for their loot. But what are we gasping?
Oh, sorry. We just got some good info through from our observers who said that Exterminator were actually ratting on the gravity cannon there, waiting for Grow Gaming. So honestly, the fact that Grow Gaming have gotten out without losing a member is frankly a dub then in that case.
All right, not too shabby then. But what we're seeing right now out of Pioneers is potentially the opposite. Nice little recovery here out of Pioneers, as they did find themselves in a bit of a back and forth scrap. So a good way to make it out of that fight right now. Both squads backing off here as we get to see Rock on the rotate with that Trident, getting themselves into the next ring.
Yeah, look, they're down here in Bean, not expecting the ring to pull as far as Bean past, say, Zone 2. I think they will eventually have to head up towards either the back of Mill or towards Down Beast. It looks very similar to the zone we had this morning over at Amia. So we've got teams prioritizing those 3 buildings that, 3 small buildings behind Mill, like Virtus.pro, 100 Thieves. I think it's Shopify Rebellion as well. For once, they do not spend their time roaming the edges of the map looking for kills. This time, they are just going to bunker down.
All right. This is the calm before the storm here, Genome, as with all of this extra space we've got on Storm Point, people are able to make these safer, wider rotates into the circle, getting some information as they go, getting a chance to take a look at THUGGETS here, who find themselves right on that western edge of the ring, seeing if there's potentially any space available for them in one of these nut buildings, but also trying to keep their heads on a swivel. They can see a couple teams also moving in. Possibly you've got ROC over there where they're looking. CIMJ is in that direction. So they're just trying to determine the best course of action.
Yeah, I don't know if THUGGETS are trying to sort of, you know, pull the zone back to them. Sadly, it's not going to be going that far down to Cenote Caves, but they'll just, they'll zoom around. Maybe try and go for a very late scan in Cenote Caves, potentially. Maybe look for a scrap with Team Liquid Alienware, who are currently in Barometer as well. Now, here's one of these back buildings that I was talking about. Certainly a good amount of priority is on these, as Fun unfortunately just catches the tail of that grenade. Ooh, see you later, Pioneers.
They had survived only to find themselves in yet another tough situation. CIMJ down to a duo. Nice shots with the PK though. Trying to see if they can maybe survive right now. Will they be able to stick this res? Nice.
It's like they're gonna get a... Yeah, I mean, you know, Chickus isn't even looking. He's just looting. Clearly is not too worried about teams on the outer. But as you can see, Masters of Evil were lurking and did find their way a little closer, but zone's about to close. So I think we'll start looking at some of those teams who are going to have the next ring information to be able to let us know where this is going to swing. THUGGETS are sitting on that in Cenote Caves right now, just like Team Inferno is sitting on fire. Strays, who continue to have a horror day, sitting in 16th right now. Fire Strays are one of the teams that, if they bring this back, Glitter, they could actually make regional finals, but as it stands right now, they are outside. They would need probably plus 10 placements to get there.
And you can see that as soon as they realized they were on the back foot, they try to disengage, but Team Inferno will try to chase them down in response. Meanwhile, we've got Liquid hanging out right by THUGGETS. So let's jump into a listen in to see how they want to handle this fight.
Para poder empujar. Tienen azul los vatos.
Sí traigo, no.
Sí, se van. Se van en carro, No. Ya se van.
Ya se fueron, pues.
Vamos a escanear.
Ok, voy a escanear. Ah, ese es el team de... ¿no?
Sí, probablemente. Hay un team en la gorra.
¿Gente de una?
Yo diría que te lo guardes porque...
¿Deja escanear o no?
Sí.
No, pues yo pregunto.
Tenis en mi Powerus para que te carguen los portales ahorita.
A nice calmer section there. You could see that they were talking about recognizing the fact that THUGGETS was leaving in the car and that they weren't going to be, you know, forcing anything there. Smart call for Liquid, as they now have Cenote to themselves and can kind of determine their path in the safest way from there, as we kind of get to see what's going on in the rest of the map. Grow Gaming trying to stick a res here, taking a lot of damage. Keon down. It's all onto Drop's shoulders now. Will he be able to survive for Grow Gaming?
Tough couple games so far for Grow. They've made it work where they could, but with Keon going down now, it's just up to the lone crypto player. It's looking tough. This has been a rough set for them. And Dropped is going to have his work cut out for him if he wants to somehow get a reset and head back in.
Surprised he was able to survive, though.
I am too, yeah. It might have just been, honestly, the invis from the crypto. But, like, there's teams all around him right now. I don't really see a path back to being able to get his teammates back in. He would need to... I guess he can snag the banners with the drone and then maybe try and look for... I don't even see a res beacon within drone distance, though, within like 200 meters.
I think he was able to benefit short term from the fact that there were so many teams in the area that they weren't necessarily looking for him, but then does get hunted down by exterminators. Grow Gaming are eliminated, so Dropped won't be able to bring it back for them. They've had definitely a tough go of it here today, but now that they've cleared, or exterminators have cleared out Grow Gaming, Rock have also disengaged and tried to get away from it as Liquid Alien were coming in, DMG were coming in, so it started to become just a little bit too chaotic for Comfort as we get to see what happened with Fire Strays. They are able to get a reset, so get the one player back up. I don't even know who had gone down for them, but now they're back in checkpoint, looking to see if they can push their way through a little bit more safely now without having to worry about Inferno in the area.
Inferno. Yeah, they're just trying to sit under the bridge. It's not a bad spot to be when you've got the rampart set up. You've got enough walls to kind of block those sight lines off. The real question is how many teams will want to move through them on the way to those back three buildings. And it is kind of funny that two of the more aggressive teams in 100 Thieves and Shopify Rebellion are in these Western POIs and therefore have had to just sit tight in those buildings up the back.
Ninjas and Pyjamas right now have some good off angles trying to pinch Unreal Nightmare in these buildings, and they've gotten a couple cracks to come through, so potentially an opportunity for follow-up out of Ninjas and Pyjamas, who are quite healthy and have been playing like they wouldn't mind taking this fight. And as I say that, they start to try to move inside, see if they can maybe get some connections here. Kurev trying to use that PK. McLovin doing the same thing, and as they move to the roofs, they lose Vayne, but continue to move in as they do a little bit of a trade. All right.
Yep, they know they can't stick around here for too long. May as well get this fight over and done with sooner rather than later. And McLovin, he isn't even going to wait for the PK reload. He just goes straight in with the G7 hit fire to finish them off. Meanwhile, T-Law have finished off DMG over here near Godrock. This is the very south end of the zone right now, but Rock aren't even in the zone. That's right, they've had to get the reset outside of it, and they've just made it back into Beam, but now they find themselves with THUGGETS on the North Hill and Team Liquid over to the west. This one could be tough for them to squeeze out of. Might need a Houdini maneuver.
Because this is going to be tough here for THUGGETS, like you said. Definitely a rough spot. They're low on their health, and Rock is moving in much better health-wise and ready to fight. Vaxlon does go down, though, so now we're talking a little bit of the tides turning here against Rock. They're down to just Sorcerer. THUGGETS gonna be able to survive this one. Sorcerer trying to get a little bit of a shield reset here for himself. Will he be able to survive this push? Zone's moving in. It's gonna make it a lot harder.
He's got one syringe in the backpack. Glitter, he has to stay ahead of the zone because he's got no option. If he takes even a tick or two of damage here, it's probably all over Red Rover for him. His two teammates have gone down. THUGGETS have unfortunately been collateral damage in Rock's plan to get back into the zone here as he tries to sick underneath. What? And no, the Masters of Evil will not allow him to live.
That was a tough fight for him regardless. Exterminators eliminated shortly after, while Liquid are just barely hanging on by a thread. You've got Aguades trying to do what he can, but CIMJ moving for the kill. They clean it up, and Liquid Alienware are eliminated.
Okay, zone. This one swings a different way. I feel like these zones were so similar to what we saw earlier on today, but the end result is actually quite different. This one does go up towards the buildings outside Down Beast, and that means Virtus.pro are up there now. They've let Oblivion take over their building. DGAP are in a great spot, and 5-star right on the edge. The teams that have Catalyst in these positions will be happy, but of course, Ultra still is in the game for that, and that means at any time, one of those buildings can become, can get opened up by any of the teams that want to make a push. Not to mention the couple of Maggies we've got here that will be pressuring teams on the inside.
An opportunity here for Oblivion to do a little bit of poke damage as our teams are being systematically weeded out. We've got Ninjas in Pyjamas, though, who've managed to move all the way around to the north. And they've got Orin Esports and Fire Strays ahead of them up there on the Down Beast. And they've been pushing and taking these fights aggressively today so far. Currently find themselves in second place overall. So maybe Ninjas in Pyjamas just continue this rampage.
Nades continue to rain in. Verholst is waiting, biding his time. What else can he do in this situation? He's not a Gibraltar. They don't have a bubble to try and withstand the onslaught. Sorry, I say that. They do, in fact, have a Gibraltar, but it's just not Verholst. A couple of ramp-up walls do come down as well, but no! We've just got so many teams. Oh my god, every single side of them was getting tickled by nades or defensive bombardments, Maggie drills, whatever it might be. They cannot withstand.
Masters of Evil eliminated on the southern side at the hands of Shopify Rebellion, who clear out some space. CIMJ follow shortly after. Now Shopify own that southern edge, but they are only a duo, so they will have to try and play this well. Able to get the banner, though, and they've got the respawn ready to go, so they will get themselves a reset as long as Oblivion don't cause too much of a problem. Meanwhile, we were wondering if Ninjas in Pyjamas were going to make an aggressive push. They did. They took out one of the teams up there. I believe it was Orin, and Fire Strays are still alive, but Ninjas in Pyjamas continue to slowly push into a better position as Oblivion are now looking to do the exact same thing.
Yep, nice use of the Trident here. It'll be valuable not only in that rotation that they just made, but also in potentially blocking some of the damage from teams who are on higher grounds, who are sitting in the buildings above them. Interestingly, we do see Shopify Rebellion all the way down the edge there. I don't know if you remember last time we saw them. Do they have purples yet? Because obviously they were sitting inside a building from very early on in this game and may not have had access to Evo Harvesters the same way some of the other teams have here. They started off in Down Beast itself, and now, unfortunately, it may have just been a slightly erroneous zone read from Shopify that made them pull more towards Mill rather than staying in their own backyard.
Getting a chance here to take a look at Ninjas in Pyjamas, looking like the next team on their list will be Fire Strays, as NIP is trying to wrap here and see if they can push in for another straight up 3v3. The cat walls are down and they don't want anybody else to try to third party this. Is this going to be a mistake, Genome?
Guess we'll have to wait and find out. Is going through the cat wall when you're not a catalyst a mistake? It doesn't seem so for McLovin. He still has enough. Oh my god, I think, wow, okay, it's just a mistake for everybody. Everybody dies. Shopify Rebellion does pull in. You can see they are up to the purples now. Oblivion, they're playing within Zone 6, so everybody has to come to them. The question is, will they get their feet shot out from under these tridents or not?
Meanwhile, VP have been very quiet, but they've been here the entire time, just doing damage from their corner, trying to mind their own business as all of these teams are cannibalizing each other. Wrecking ball out of Koiful, opening up an opportunity for Shopify.
Oh my god! And this is the one time where the Gibraltar tactical will not save you. EMPs and Maggie Balls are the direct counter. That is why Koiful is on this hero right now. That's why Koiful is the kill leader. 5 kills to his name.
Great decision and timing there out of Shopify to really bring the fight onto Oblivion. Oblivion didn't have a lot of space to play behind there, so that was well fought by Shopify, now earning them the best position for this final circle as VP are starting to see if they can clear out 5-star team on their left right now. That would really open up a lot of breathing room for VP if they're able to do so.
Well, we were expecting teams to come at Oblivion Shopify Rebellion just did it a little earlier than they were expecting. So now they do take over. I'm not going to call it God spot, but certainly the most advantageous position in this circle right now. Virtus.pro 5-star and DGAP have to consider now their next approach. 5-star will be pushed out first, and we can see them just trying to be a little sneaky with the Void Passage to get out here, but Virtus.pro are leapfrogging their way forward with the barriers.
Not only are 5-star in the crosshairs of VP, but DGAP is right there, and Shopify is watching it all go down. You can see Shopify clearing out that cover that VP had put down, making sure that they don't feel as comfortable directly across from where Shopify is. So good job. At least kind of defending their space just a tad. You see those pace coming through. DGAP does go down as 5-star make the push in, and now it's down to top 3.
Okay, so 5-star take the position away from them, but how much longer can they last out? Meanwhile, VP use the nades to absolutely shred Shopify Rebellion apart. Oh my god, we do have the last 3v3, but in the blink of an eye, Virtus.pro will do the last bit of damage that they pretty much promised with the triple crack I think they got from the nades that they threw in earlier. That was very well played from Virtus.pro.
Girl, that was insane. Oh my god, I look so fabulous. Wow, look at me go.
You've really been working on that beard, Glenna. Nice work.
Thank you. Proud of it, I'm not gonna lie, but what a performance there out of VP. I mean, I talked about them saying that, you know, they really need to work on that consistency to start off the day here today. This is something that they needed to prove that they can be in that upper echelon. And that was very well played on behalf of VP. They had Shopify right there after an insane push out of Shopify, and they knew that there was a squad watching them the entire time, and they just played it to perfection.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think their potential has been in doubt anytime recently, but obviously as a trio, this is a new team, and that does mean that they have certain things to prove, right? Some might say that they did that in the first week, but then with a little bit of a drop off after that, you know, questions start to arise, and I'm glad to see that they are now bringing it back in the second half of this split and put those questions to rest.
For as long as possible, they were doing poke damage, but they weren't forcing anything, and they made the game work for them. So I think just even from a strategic perspective, well played, utilizing the position they had at their disposal, as well as their team comp, to really kind of clinch that win when they needed to. Like you said, they didn't get a ton of KP, but what does that matter when you get a good chunk of points from getting the win? We'll work on the KP from there, because clearly the teams like Shopify have that down. But the day is flying by. We only have 2 more matches left in the series, 2 more opportunities for our teams to secure a spot into regional finals. And we're going to be getting to those matches in just a moment on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere.
Oh no, unless they got that in the package, I guess. It was a Kraber we saw in the Mythic bin go the way of... Who was that up in the wall? Anyway, doesn't matter. Kraber will end VP. Meanwhile, Thuggets are looking to end some more lives over here in the buildings. Grow Gaming and Ninjas in Pyjamas trying to posture.
And with all the noise in the south, this almost goes unnoticed. But Shopify Rebellion took out 100 Thieves on the way in. A Shopify Rebellion that was accruing momentum just last game is now the only team off to the north. No one is looking at them as everyone looks south at Thuggets and what was formerly Grow Gaming.
Shopify on the rise. They might not have won that last game, but as you say, momentum seems to be shifting in their favor. The Pro League day that was promised. They had so much momentum, even just coming in off the scrims, and maybe finally that's translating into actual Pro League points.
Catwall is nice, but Catwall is temporary. As that expires for Shopify Rebellion, they're going to play with budget Catwall. By that I mean the Trident on low ground. Not a good position, and Zap finds that out firsthand. Zainu still holding space, while Unreal Nightmare end up fighting the Thuggets for the winning position. Keep your eyes on the fight as Shopify Rebellion move up onto the Ninjas in Pyjamas to challenge this rock and ultimately win the fight in a 2v3. Ninjas in Pyjamas are down, while Unreal Nightmare and Thuggets are still fighting.
Yeah, this is the best thing about the fight for Shopify, was that there was another two teams going at it at the same time. No risk of a third party. They're way too locked into it with each other. Well, I say that, it looks like they're actually on separate sides or separate levels of this armory. So we do actually see them. Wow, even managed to grab the respawn here. Zap comes back in behind the rock, and because Thuggets and Unreal Nightmare are so close to each other, there's not really any way for them to make a move forward and try and take advantage of a weaker Shopify Rebellion.
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think Thuggets win this game. They've got a Gibby. There's a Maggie on the other side. They've got to drop down out of here with Unreal Nightmare. This looks almost impossible, but I want to hear how Thuggets approach it. So really quick, let's take a listen in with the Thuggets.
We're just going to have to play for second, or we play super late on this left side.
I can give you ultim soon. I'm going to go give you ultim probably soon. It's kind of better on our side.
Not yet.
Right here.
Bro, we could just play left. Look, like right here.
That's what I said.
Okay, we should probably do that. We should do that before we get fucked.
We have
Just
to play
start setting up right here. Start setting up right here. Right here.
Choke. We can just drop, bro. They can't swing our back.
Yeah. I know. I'm gonna stay up here for a little.
I'm staying up top.
They're cattling.
I know.
Game plan is set. Unreal Nightmare yet to leave the building, but Thuggets, they called it. They're playing left, and Shopify Rebellion are having none of it.
Oh my god, Maggie Ball pushes them all the way back. Amped cover is useless in the face of a mad Maggie, and she is furious right now. Unreal Nightmare should be able to come in from within the armory. Surely they take this one.
Yeah, I mean, Unreal Nightmare, they just watched the game be served up to them. I respect Shopify Rebellion for going on that push, for recognizing they needed to take out the Thuggets, but it cost both teams the game. As Unreal Nightmare, surely we're watching that and going, are you guys sure you want us to win this game?
Yeah, and look, and you know, we got that in the listen-in, right? We heard it directly from them. They said, look, we're probably just going to have to play for second here. Wait, who actually got second in the end? I mean, I was focusing on Unreal Night. It was THUGGETS that's But I don't know, man. With the momentum that's coming out of Shopify right now, I think they're kind of feeling themselves.
Yeah, I'd imagine they are. I mean, I'm certainly feeling inspired by watching Shopify play. This has been a big day of recovery for them, and I like how they're looking. We'll see if they can keep it up, and whether or not Rock can claim some back and stay on top in the last day. Additionally, as we move into Game 6, we're going to be keeping our eyes on who's making it to regional finals and who is not, because it is your very last chance to make it to regionals right off the break. To clinch regional finals. That's the huge stakes at the end of this genome. Yes, some teams are playing for seeding. Yes, teams are thinking about how to qualify to Japan, but it's one step at a time. And for a lot of teams, that step is regional finals, some of which that seems out of reach for. Let's take a look at the overall standings and what we are thinking. As of right now, the cutoff is Masters of Evil at 20th place. They have held on to that since the start of the day. And that is only if it were to end here. We have one more game.
Yeah, I mean, they built up a little bit of a buffer there, as you can see. Fire Strays is really, well, maybe 5-star as well, are the two other teams in this lobby that if they have a massive game right now could potentially shift the momentum and overcome Masters of Evil and maybe move into the top 20. So I'll definitely be keeping my eye on those two teams, but as we said, it would have to be a pretty monumental game from them to take it away. Fire Stray is currently at 20 points overall in this series and 5-star below them in 17. So, you know, they would probably need like a win plus 10 kills or something to make it there.
We've got, honestly, a lot of teams that would vie for that spot. I know that I was talking about this behind the scenes, and it is a long shot, but I do want to throw Orin in here as well. They are a little lower down on the leaderboard in terms of squads that we need to keep track of that are on the bubble of qualification. We've got Cryvor, Masters of Evil, FYR, 5-star, and again, perhaps Orin. But the other big team to keep in this conversation weirdly isn't playing today, and that's TSM. Because if these teams are able to accrue enough points, teams like Crivor, Masters of Evil, FYR, and 5-Star, TSM dropping 2 more places pushes the finals entirely.
Yeah, that is crazy. I feel like, yeah, okay, it's a tough ask. We'd probably need, both Fire Strays and 5-Star to have a very, very big result here, as well as Masters of Evil to slightly tick up. So that's a lot of things that have to go their way. But either way, it does seem like TSM will most likely be having quite a low draft pick when we do come to our regional finals next week.
As of right now, the final game on Storm Point is coming at us. The final chance for these squads to, like you said, put up not just double-digit games, but over 20 points, which often means a pretty darn incredible game. You've got to have at least 8 kills on top of a victory to max out over 20 points, and that is a huge ask. Your squads, like we talked about on the bubble, Masters of Evil and Fire. We've got plenty more that we'll talk about throughout the day, throughout this game rather. But we'll start things off with Unreal Nightmare, who, all things considered, have had a pretty good day finding the win just last game.
We found a couple throughout our split here. As I think, is it the first Pro League split for quite a few of those guys? Someone could go look that up on Wikipedia. Meanwhile, we're too busy watching the action because you know that this Game 6 is going to be a wild one with Pioneers and Oblivion already at it. Because obviously, this is the last game. As we've just said, if you're going to go for it, you got to go for it right now. And typically in these Game 6s, we don't see as many teams rushing to zone. We see them rushing towards each other.
Yeah, this was where we really saw the pace of lobby pick up in EMEA, as if it wasn't fast enough on the last day anyways. Pioneers are absolutely hunting kills at this point, looking for that momentum that, as we mentioned, they have lost between match days. However, sitting in the center of the map right now, outside of Forbidden Zone, they are going to have to think about grouping up and moving towards the ring, because ultimately, that's where the game and their best chance of winning for both points and kills will go. Pioneers should already have an idea of where this ring is going, given that they've got Rampart, and Jay has hit the ring console already. We are heading south. We are going to Barometer. In fact, remembering the zone polls that we talked about in North America earlier, it's one of the I think it is the first Barometer zone on Storm Point in North America.
Oh, really? Okay, we definitely have seen Barometer and its surrounds pop up across the globe. But yeah, if it's the first one here for
checking
North America, then I guess we have to say good luck to Rock, who spawned there and not only are getting a chance to redeem their day, which has been a little rough since game 1 and 2, but remember, they're still on for a bonus point, by the way. They've already won 2 games.
That's true. I guess we'll see what Rock can make of this. And I did get this confirmed, by the way, for the Americas. We have had rings at Coastal Camp. We have had rings south of Cedo. We have not yet had a Barometer end zone. Right. So to firsts and lasts will be this game, as last game of the season, first ring of its kind.
Now remember, Masters of Evil are on the cusp right now. They are in 20th place if things end as they are and head towards the regional finals. In fact, with that fight win, they've just moved themselves up a little bit, and we're getting closer to the scenario you talked about where TSM or perhaps even Crivor Esports get knocked out.
Is a great start for Masters of Evil. I will say a tragic finish for Team Inferno, who with that fight have confirmed themselves to only be attending the LCQ for their chances of making it to Sapporo. Team Inferno will not be joining us in the regional finals, as they are the first team eliminated in match 6. DGAP taking yet another engagement, this time just off to the western side of Cascade Falls. It seems like they've got plenty of nice positioning up against 5-Star, enough to even push 5-Star, a very aggressive team, away from the engagement.
Well, you know, 5-Star, they don't want to take any fight that they can't win here. That might sound like a silly statement, Dia, but they know that a single loss here means they are out. as far as the regular season goes. And they might be joining Team Inferno. So they actually back off, despite the option to, you know, crypto send DGAP there. They don't take it, and they will go back towards potentially Cascade Falls, maybe just farm some more Evo up on the way to Barometer.
100 Thieves, with their Gibby Bubble rotate available, don't have too far that they need to go, but are setting this up in a safe place for them later on. Most teams that are already in zone are going to be thinking along the same lines, not how do we secure a win from here, but in case the zone doesn't pull to us, like it didn't to 100 Thieves where they predicted last game, what do we do in that case? FYR, they've got a completely different agenda. If you're fighting to the south of Pylon, you're looking for kills, because let's be honest, FYR need them.
They sure do. 100 banger right now would go a long way to giving them a chance. Maybe even off the back of an EMP, but apparently Crook is going to put the drone back in the satchel and deploy it elsewhere. Looking behind them now. They don't see anyone in Pylon. It really is just them and Ninjas in Pyjamas, and unless they don't hurry up, and we do see DMG enter the arena. Ooh, a couple of knocks coming out.
Almost hoping against hope that Orin get this knock. Yeah, I mean, it would feel bad for the team running ahead of them. That's DGAP, but Orin really need the points if they want to secure regional finals, and it wouldn't be just one team wipe. It would have to be many, many, many team wipes for Orin. I won't count them out, but over at Cascade Falls, they've got limited information to work with. They may know where the ring is going, but there aren't even that many squads around them to take advantage of. An edge playstyle in this game, risky for more than one reason. Not only can you be outplayed, you also just might not find anyone. FYR, looking for the fight at Coastal Camp, have Ninjas in Pyjamas in their sights.
It's still these two teams, but as we said, they've delayed this fight for some time, and DMG are now moving past Echo HQ. You can see them creeping up in the back line there. They've got their own drone, Dia. They'll be able to hit the survey beacon at Echo HQ and get the information that there is a potential third party for them to come in off the back of here. Oh, okay. Crook does get 2 knocks, though. And all of a sudden, the fight is on. Fire Strays, can they clean this up in time? One more to secure before DMG join. Ooh!
They traded so
my
positively
God.
there.
Yes!
Nice finish by Cersei and DMG. They arrive, but now it's Fire that have the high ground. Cersei getting sent by DJ Killa. The 1v1 of the century won by Cersei, as even DJ Killa has to fear the Wraith, who instantly phases down, rejoining the rest of the team and swapping out with Future Streams, who goes up to the high ground. Fire Strays, low ground, getting naded. Have DMG right next door to them and unrelenting in the pressure.
The third, I believe it's their crypto player, finally joins in. Was actually quite a ways away with 2 knocks now. Crook goes up the top. 40 health and a dream. This is Fire Stray's season on the line here. The knockdown shield desperately trying to shield him from these frag grenades.
Almost sending me into cardiac arrest with that nade. Crook gotta win the 1v2, but dropping down to the low ground wasn't gonna be able to do it. Fire Strays do fall. DMG taking the win, and unfortunately sending Fire Strays to the LCQ. Orin Esports looking for their team wipes, looking for their points. Do find Monsoon immediately in the RE45. Trap spun behind the knockdown shield that is short-lived as all. Orin claimed 2 KP, 2 crucial points for them.
Yeah, look, Orin's chances are certainly counted in the single-digit percentages, if that, but they can look for as many kills as they can to try and improve those numbers. That's what they're doing out on the outskirts here. As you said, Fire Strays no longer with us. See you in the LCQ, guys. But 5-star, still alive, still kicking. That said, they're going up against maybe Shopify Rebellion next. With the way they've been playing the last couple of maps, 5-star have got their work cut out for them if they want to continue on and make that top 20. That said, TSM, Crivor Esports, both sighing a sigh of relief as Fire Strays go out. It means they're much more likely to stay in the fight now.
Oblivion's elimination not going to hurt their chances too much at regional finals or at Sapporo, but for CIMJ, story's a little different. Especially seeding into regional finals going to matter for them, and for Shopify Rebellion, I'd say they're in a similar spot to Oblivion, if not a much better one. Shopify Rebellion, they know what their future holds. It's about polishing the team up until that point. And we have seen a team over the course of yesterday into today that is iterating, that is looking for new ways to win. And in this case, ways to get aggressive and take advantage of teams that are unprepared around them. What they found is a pro league that is very prepared to take on Shopify. Will 5-star rise to that very same bar, as 5-star right now are the only team near Shopify?
Could be an isolated 3v3. The zone pulls so far towards the southwest. That's so bad for Rock Esports. So I'm just keeping a little bit of an eye on them, as obviously the team who spawned in Barometer, who had to try and guess which side of Barometer the zone would pull to, and it seems like they may have guessed incorrectly. In 100 Thieves, who, similar to last game, have sort of taken the outside chance, the outside position. This time, it might have worked out.
DGAP are up against the THUGGETS. Off in the eastern corner of this ring. Neither one happy about the next ring pull, but DGAP seemingly more trigger happy with it. Goes for the stick, but Golden will not find it after eating a Peacekeeper shot to the face. Fearless trades back for him, and DGAP have a numbers advantage up against the THUGGETS. You have to be very careful. EMP connecting, not doing too much to dissuade DGAP as they walk up straight to the amped cover unbroken and lose 2, losing control of the fight.
Someone please shoot the glass out. They can't do anything while that is still up. It was like they kept peeking and hoping that the other team would come out from behind it. But they play safely, they play smartly. And the THUGGETS surely will get the better of DGAP after that. 2 of them down. DMG off the background now. This is 5-star playing for their life. Sorry, I hadn't realized we gone from one nut to the other. 5-star done for, not making regional finals. It was a valiant effort.
The isolated fight not going their way, and Shopify Rebellion continue to terrorize the lobby as DGAP look for an escape. It's DMG that have come in for the third party on the THUGGETS DGAP fight. And like we talked about, taking a fair fight, never been in DMG's interest.
Why would you do that when you can stack the cards in your favor?
What is happening?
I don't know. Are there like different teams trying to get into the same Trident? This isn't a bus, guys.
That killed a lot of teams. That killed way more teams than it should have. I've never seen a Trident bait 2 teams into it. And honestly, probably eliminate a third, as I don't see DGAP getting into this zone. So that's DGAP and THUGGETS both down. DMG whittled down to a solo off of one awkward escape from the nut building. Oh, also goodbye Unreal Nightmare.
Oh, so Unreal Nightmare go out in 7th. The only chance really we've got left is Oran Esports, who are sitting in 14th. They would need, what, plus at minimum plus 10 points. 4th spot. One of them's just been knocked. 4th right now is 43. Sorry, just doing a bit of quick maths. They need at least another 22 points right now, dear. At least.
Sorry, who's this? I was focusing on the DGAP solo.
Oran Esports need a minimum of 22 points to make their way into the top 20 and make regional finals.
Okay, there's a bar there. I'm not saying it's easily achievable. We've set the bar, 22 points. It's a bar distance. We'll see how far they make it. CIMJ as a duo, positioned right in front of Rock, who sure would like that bonus point. I'm sure that they saw what happened this morning and would like to mirror Onyx's success. Virtus.pro resetting on this island, essentially isolated, but unfortunately isolated as a duo and not in too comfortable of a position. This stops being a game-winning spot if you don't have everyone to hold it.
Absolutely not. And they've got Grow Gaming behind them as well. And they look like they are very soon about to send it onto Virtus.pro, while 100 Thieves try and hold on to this critical building, this game-winning building, and Grow Gaming do indeed finish off Virtus.pro from behind.
CIMJ will fall as well. Exterminators moving in from where we just saw CIMJ meet their untimely end. But that telltale zipline shows you where Rock have rolled up, and Rock are right behind the 100 Thieves and Liquid Alienware, as Orin, the team that needs 22 points, are down to a duo and outside of zone. I suspect we may be saying goodbye to them, even with this triple take to try and clean up a bit of KP. They've got 5 kills so far. DGAP and Rock falling at the same time, denying Rock the chance at a bonus point. Ooh. And Orin somehow still alive.
They move in. It's a paltry 11 points a player. That's all they need. And with nades and stinger bolts on top of them, I don't know if that number is going to get any easier. They are alive for right now, though. But they've got Shopify on one side of them, Pioneers on the other, and goodbye, Orin Esports. That's it. That's probably our top 20 are all done and dusted.
And KCP, never been known for their merciful streak. 100 Thieves doing much the same in this game. Quick bubble out of Phony just to let the team reset. Has been going off on the Gibraltar this week, but today has not been that day. 100 Thieves in 12th right now, and that's after what has been a good game for them so far. A bit of an awkward day for the 100 Thieves that had won so dominantly not 24 hours ago. Liquid Alienware, however, will fall at their hands, and Shopify Rebellion reset to a duo on the low ground.
Yeah, we've got a couple of teams. They've equaled Rock at 58. So Shopify, I believe, only need one more point to take out the dub here. And it seems, they're in a rough spot. Grow Gaming want to focus them out right now. Pioneers do too. They've only got 2 left alive. I mean, this is going to be tough, but they are so close to victory.
I'm not a fan of celebrating too early, but I will give congratulations where it is due. Masters of Evil, having survived this long, have secured their spot. Just having survived to this point, Masters of Evil are likely to attend the regional final. Relative to the rest of the lobby, Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, we had a team go out, so they've moved up to 59 points. That is 1 point ahead, and that's probably the day all wrapped up. Everyone else is, I think, too far apart to catch them now. Shopify, with a banger Storm Point, have come in to put their stamp on BBC.
Aggie Ball maybe saves Koifel for a second, gets a slick shield swap, but it's a matter of time for Shopify Rebellion, even as a solo. Grow Gaming not going to give up their position to try and grip Shopify Rebellion, but the Masters of Evil did not get that name for nothing. Miles goes and finishes off Shopify Rebellion before retreating back, and the Masters of Evil may very well be celebrating with a win. They've already moved up, like we said. They've clinched regional finals. If they can find a victory here, it would be massive for them. And with Grow and 100 Thieves both having to fight almost directly on top of the Masters of Evil, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Oh, they've shot themselves up, 5 places on the leaderboard just in this game, Dia. They've gone from a potential 20th place finish to now something like 15, so potentially giving themselves some better picks as we go into that regional finals. Now we've got the final 3 squads, 100 Thieves. They've been sitting in this building for the longest time, and they are about to get pushed out. They will be pushed into the waiting arms of Grow Gaming, who are sitting in the coffin, and then, of course, Masters of Evil plotting their evil, nefarious schemes from below.
You can hear that Wraith portal. Grow Gaming know it as well as we do. That means the Masters of Evil are right underneath Grow. Rampart walls all set up, waiting for the drop down from Grow, who granted do have a Gibby bubble, but you only get one. And there's very little space to play. 100 Thieves, their play is obvious. They've got the wall that is off to the north that will keep 100 Thieves safe for at least a little while longer. But harassing Grow off this high ground would do them a lot of favors. One Gibby ult, one Gibby bubble to keep Grow alive.
You can see Dropped is holding onto that for as long as he possibly can, but that ultimate is what makes these final circles so hard to play against for Gibraltars. He uses it against 100 Thieves. They will counter with the Gibby bubble, but after this, what have they got left to play with?
Full res for Phony, and this may be the time for 100 Thieves to trade with an ultimate of their own. They're going to hold on to that, sitting on the low ground, letting Grow pile up a little bit more and actually take the high ground away from 100 Thieves. Out goes the fuse ult, however, from behind, and that's the Masters of Evil getting involved. Knocked focuses behind him, but really you can only pick one or the other. Do you take out 100 Thieves? Do you take out Masters of Evil? Or do you get nothing done and expire in the fire and the flames? Grow Gaming have not dropped down, but they fall, and 100 Thieves strike back from above to take the win in Game 6.
How on earth have they weathered that storm? Oh my. The back and forward, up the wall, mantling, somehow still staying alive. I mean, it really did. Who was the Wraith there? Dropped, was it for...
knocked for Grow?
Yeah, knocked for Grow. It kind of felt like he was in the void when his team needed him. You know, he was trying to stay alive a little bit longer, but if his PK had been at the ready, potentially, when 100 Thieves mantled up, he might have been able to do enough damage to push them down. Look, what ifs have yous, we don't need to live in that what if world, because 100 Thieves have actually pulled that off. That is an incredible win by them.
It does boost them up significantly in the leaderboards. I mean, Glitter, this was a really impressive game from 100 Thieves to find the win. Equally as impressive, we were talking up the Masters of Evil. What a victory for them. Even if it doesn't come with the screen, you are the champions, it does come with the additional bonus that you're going to regional finals.
Which is just the next important step along the journey, right? You have to get to regional finals to even have a shot at winning regional finals and then potentially making your way through to champs. So this is going to be massive for them. Congratulations. I love to see it because we mentioned it in EMEA as well, but now not only do the likes of Masters of Evil clinch their spot for regional finals, but that also means they've got a slightly better draft pick when it comes to the POI draft. So all of these small things will tie in together. Phenomenal day across the board. Let's start highlighting some of the individuals that really put on a performance here today, because it's time for our Sony in-zone kill leader race. Now, I do want to say something before we look at the top, because I assumed it was going to be Koifel at the top. I do want to give a little bit of a shout out to Dropped in 10th place as well, because I was looking at some stats heading into match 6, and he had 11 of the team's 13 kills heading into match 6. He didn't get any in match 6, but he was literally in a 6-way tie for third, as you can see how many people have 11 kills heading into match number 6. So even if Grow had a little bit of a struggle day, Dropped was really stepping up to the plate for them. But of course, it was Koifel, the absolute terror. I mean, Genome, are we surprised that he is the kill leader right now?
Not at all surprised. What I am surprised about is that the kill leader only had, was that 14 kills?
Yes.
You know, we've just had so many sort of insane pop-off performances recently with people just running amok in, you know, most regions and pulling out 30 bombs that it was such an even contest here. That's what really stands out.
Yeah, honestly, this lobby, every single team and individual really came to give it their all for this last day, Dia.
They really did. One of the other teams, well, we're giving out flowers for those who maybe didn't top the charts but had impressive performance. Exterminators and Jelly specifically. Jelly's teaming with Shubi and Naughty and coming out in the top, I think it was 3, he was 3rd in the overall kill leaders. So the fact that Shopify Rebellion took a big step up should not go unnoticed. This was a huge clutch of momentum, and Koifel hopefully inspired with confidence, especially on Storm Point. Maybe we work on that World's Edge a little bit. That's not flame, that's just reality. The stats back it up. But Exterminators had a fantastic day, and I'm excited to see how Koifel and his competition for kill leader continue to play throughout the last couple of, they're not even match days, just days of games.
I mean, it might have been 14 kills, which, you know, sounds like only 14 kills because of the stats we've been getting and just how close this lobby specifically was, even on an individual level, but 9.1k damage.
It's a lot. I can tell you the last comp lobby I played in, I didn't get 9.1k damage, and I didn't get 14 kills either.
What a day for Shopify, as well as for Koifel. What a day for both of our regions across the board. America specifically, obviously, as that's what we're finishing right now, as we've now closed the chapter of our regular season match days. We know which teams are going to be competing in all of our regional finals. I mean, this is very exciting. We'll give you a little bit of an update from APAC South as well while we're waiting to see if we can maybe get an interview going here, because this was the week where everybody had to get it done, Genome. So as our resident expert, talk me through a little bit about our top 20 here from APAC South.
Yeah, look, obviously we've got some pretty well-established names in there. Gen G, like, I know you guys probably know who Gen G are and how they've been going, but the crazy thing about them is they're actually improving at a rate faster, it seems, than almost the rest of APAC South right now. And that's why they find themselves so far on the top here with 135 points. I think, you know, one of, if not the highest points leaders in the entire world right now. Wolves obviously still very solid. S8 had a shaky start to the season by their standards, but have certainly pulled it back. Boogie Borders are probably the outside sort of chance to hopefully grab a qualification slot into Sapporo via a regional finals win. If you're wondering why our recent LAN champs VKG are a little further down there in 18th, that's because QQ has not been playing with the reigning champs this split. Unfortunately, they've had to use a sub for most of the time. We're hoping he comes back for champs, but TBD. Alcadzia, I guess we can also have a look at there. Has been doing pretty well. And then JDG, one of the few teams that actually has the chance to qualify for champs via champs points, depending on their performance. They are just qualifying probably right now in 7th, but they need to have a solid regional finals to keep that up and make sure that we do see them in Sapporo.
I love that. And Genome, just a quick question. Where can people go to watch all this APAC South stuff?
Well, you can go watch it on Battlegrounds OCE, but of course I will be doing some watch parties there as well. So if you want to come and hang out with me, it'll be on Genome_.
So if you guys are trying to keep up with all of the regions and you want to hear more of that lovely Australian accent, go hang out with Genome so you can keep up to date with everything we've got going on for APAC South. And while we're here doing a regional update, we might as well give you a reminder on what happened with APAC North as well. Now, we touched on it a little bit earlier during the halftime show, but overall, Dia, we've got our APAC North top 20 as well. All of our regions have wrapped up, and you can see Unlimit up there at the top. I mean, this is going to be really interesting when we start having to crunch who's winning what, champs points, where things are falling, because that's what's coming up right around the corner.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. When you guys are watching regional finals, there is going to be a lot of complicated math going on behind the scenes as to who makes champs, who doesn't make champs, what regions make champs in different orders because of all the cascading down of championships points that happen after this. Keep your eyes on the ball. Regional finals is about making it to Sapporo. It's about securing your spot, and most importantly, it is about winning match point finals. The winners of regional finals have such an advantage when it comes to going to LAN because they already understand how to win match points. So keep it simple for yourself. We're going to figure out who's going to champs when we get there, and you're going to hear the casters going, actually, if this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. Focus on who's winning, who has the best chance of coming out on top, and how your favorite team is playing. It's a good time to plug Face It Watch.
Because there really genuinely is that much math going on in the background. I mean, shout out to Jayhawk, because I know he's doing a lot of that math as well, kind of keep track of where there's points, who has points, you know, if this person loses, but this one wins, and it opens up one of the spare spots in the champs points because they've already qualified through winning Pro League or winning regional finals. What does that mean for the teams down below? So shout out to Jayhawk, because I know he's tracking all that as well. And if we're going through all the regions and you guys are just joining us, or maybe you only saw America today, we'll do a quick recap on EMEA as well, just so you can get the full picture of what is happening here today, because we were able to see obviously groups B and C to close it out earlier on. Alliance still at the top of our EMEA overall leaderboard, followed by Go Next. But we saw some insane performances today, particularly out of Onyx. They got that bonus point earlier in the day because they were able to win 3 out of their 6 matches in today's series. And it was a little bit of a scrap down there towards the bubble. We were trying to see, you know, what was going to happen at that 20th point. Quite a few teams were able to make their way in. Pot was able to get on in there. You got Ronin in there. Halo Rail's just barely holding on. I mean, it's been a very exciting day across the board for what we saw out of our 2 regions, not to mention what we've been having going on across the world internationally. We got a little bit of a extra video to kind of show you guys here while we've got our interview getting set up and ready to go as well. And honestly, EMEA was just a good time today, Gino.
Oh, it was fun, man. NPMI were slapping around, but so was Onyx, as you just said. These guys, from start to finish, really showed us what they're capable of. We had a little bit of a listen in. I didn't understand a whole lot of it. I think there was some nice and some okay. That was about as far as I got. But either way, we can understand their gameplay, and their gameplay is pretty fast and furious. So shout out to them for taking the dub.
Well, one of the big things we were talking about too, Dia, is the fact that we've only got 4 teams right now putting themselves in contention for champs from EMEA specifically. So there's definitely, you know, an opportunity here in regards to this region to make a big push and start becoming a powerhouse when it comes to that international discussion side of things.
And for Onyx, they look like a team that could do just that. And the scary thing is that for a team that is looking like they are in such good form right now, they are absolutely not going to champs unless they win regional finals of the LCQ. They are not doing this via champs points, even with the performance that they had today. And so you have to hope against hope, even with how Apex tends to go, that the team that is in form today stays in form tomorrow, next week, and the LCQ as well, which will be even following that. So a lot to not just keep track of, but also hope for from your different teams, because we've even seen between yesterday and today a great example here in the Americas with 100 Thieves having a dominant performance and then barely clinching a top 6. Apex is hard to master. Apex is hard to stay on top of. The Onyx we saw today, I want to see in Japan. I don't know if they'll make it.
You know, I think that's a good shout to point out, as well as the fact that while we're currently hyping up regional finals, and of course that's what's on the horizon, you can't count the teams that don't make it out just yet. We will have that LCQ. There will be one more opportunity for 8 more teams to still get a spot on that international stage. So we're not done just yet. But for now, let's jump into our interview. Thank you so much for your patience, because I believe we've got Don standing by ready to chat. Don, let's go.
What's going on,
welcome.
guys?
Thank you so much for jumping on and chatting with us. So talk to us a little bit about the success that you guys found today. I mean, Koi looked like he was absolutely on just an insane tear on Maggie.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we struggled a lot yesterday, but the boys managed to keep their heads down, you know, and play our game. Ran into a few issues yesterday, but we fixed them up and tightened them up for today, and that's all that matters, right?
I mean, I have to agree. It certainly makes it look like that today. We're talking about consistency just a few seconds ago between different regions and different days, what we can expect from regional finals and onwards, and we're expecting to see you at LAN. So, given that, how are you looking at other regions right now as a coach and preparing for how their metas and their playstyles are going to shake up what Shopify Rebellion already have?
I don't think it will shake up much. If anything, I feel like every other region will start adapting to playing what NA will be playing. And I think that the meta that you're seeing right now in NA Pro League is probably what you're going to see at Champs, unless there are patches.
Well, that's actually something we should probably talk about then, Don, because there's going to be a new season, right? There's going to be a new patch between now and Champs. And if the last couple of seasons are anything to go by, it'll be a big shakeup. So is there anything that you guys do when a new season comes out, when a new patch comes out, where clearly, there's maybe 3 or 4 new legends that are super powerful and therefore introduced into the meta? Is there anything that you're maybe sort of hoping for in the next one, or anything that you will do specifically to get up to speed quickly? Because, how quickly you adapt to those new changes obviously will make a massive difference to how you perform at Champs.
Yeah. Me personally, I'd love for Newcastle to just be completely up the meta.
Okay.
I think it's, I think if we were in a meta where we're playing with 3 like small hitbox characters instead of like a lot of Gibby, Newcastle, Caustic, it'd be more fun to watch and more fun to play. That's what I'd be hoping for. But we'll never know, right? We just got to wait and see.
Now, go ahead, GM. Do you want to follow up with that?
I was just going to say, so obviously you have insane roller fraggers on your team. Do you think having those sort of small hitbox characters, let's say you were, it was 3 Wraiths in the meta or something, do you think that would suit you guys because their aim is just so elite?
Yeah, it's currently really hard to play, especially on Stormpoint games 1 to 3. It's really hard to play Edge, right? And it's really hard to play characters that kill these type of comps, these Newcastle comps. And it almost forces everyone to just get in zone and play these comps, you know what I mean? There isn't much flexibility from games 1 to 3, which I really don't like. But when we get into the later games, there's a lot of flexibility, as I'm sure you guys see, you know what I mean?
Now, before I let you go here, Don, I just want to kind of get your perspective on Koifel specifically, because obviously we got to see just how much damage he brought to the team here today as an individual when we were taking a look at those kill leader stats, over 9k damage. What has he done for the squad in terms of like fragging power? And do you think that that's going to give you guys what you need when it comes to that international stage in Japan?
Yeah, the kid is one of a kind, man. There's no one like him in the game. There is not a single person close to him in the game when it comes to shooting their gun. He constantly delivers every day for us, and we can always count on him. Like, it almost feels, especially with the acquisition of Zap now, it almost feels like every time they hop into a fight, I just know it's over. You know what I mean? And yeah, Koi's just one of a kind, bro. He's the best.
I love that. Well, Don, fantastic chatting with you as always. Thank you so much for taking the time to come here to talk, and congratulations to you and the squad on the win for the last regular season day.
Yep. Thank you guys so much.
It's always nice to get to chat with Don to close out the Americas here. Regular season done and dusted. That's it. That's all she wrote. So, Dia, give me your final thoughts now that all of the regions are looking towards regional finals.
I mean, we've seen an incredible amount of and quality of Apex Legends over the last 2 days. My thoughts now are with the teams. They have got 20 of the best teams in each region facing off for what for some regions will be 1 slot, for some regions will be 2, depending on where their champs points lie. I'm hoping that we get some incredible storylines coming out of here, but also some underdog stories in match point finals, because that can be some of the most exciting play. Regional finals is all about winning, is all about taking the core of a BR and just finding the victory, almost at the expense of all else. So I'm excited for regional finals, and that's just about what I can muster, Glitter.
I love that though, and I like the call out for the underdog stories as well. We always love a good underdog story. So Gina, what about you?
Yeah, look, Matchpoint are kind of made for underdog stories, aren't they? And yeah, it's going to be a fantastic week next week across all regions as we see those Matchpoint finals play out. I think, you know, in APAC South, we've got teams who are, you know, pretty much locked in as number 1 and number 2, and it'll be interesting to see if they can continue that in what is always the most intense lobby of the entire split. Meanwhile, over here in Americas, it's actually quite close now between Shopify, Grow, 100 Thieves, Rock, ZZ. There's so many teams that are sort of 80 to 90 points that there's almost 10 teams that could actually walk away as the victors overall of the Pro League. So certainly some different storylines for different regions and how we're going to see that play out. Americas has been so tight the whole way through that it's just going to be a fabulous watch next week. Absolutely do not miss it.
Yeah, very exciting to be sure. Well, Dia and Genome, you guys crushed it today as always. So thank you so much for lending us your voices to get us through the final day of our regular season for Split 2. We'll say goodbye to you for now, but it won't be for long. As far as we go, chat, it's time for you to start planning your trip to Japan. And if you're wondering exactly how to do that, obviously we keep talking about champs. We're going to give you the information right now because we wanted to let you know how to get your tickets locked down for the big event. Obviously, the ticket sales will be live next week on our ticketing partner site, Zyco, and that'll be on October 11th at 1 a.m. PT, 4 a.m. ET, and 5 p.m. JST. Nice and early for everybody here in the Americas during our first regional final of Split 2. You can find more information as that day nears on our ALGS website's Year 5 Championships page. See all the latest information about champs here, from tickets to exciting news and updates, of course. But that is not all, okay? We keep talking about it. Obviously, our regular season has come to a close, but that just means it's time to prepare for the regional finals. And if you want to know when to be here, that is going to be October 12th for our EMEA regional finals, 6 p.m. BST, 1 p.m. ET, and 10 a.m. PT start. Be here to find out which teams will be winning, who's taking the whole thing home, who's winning Pro League, who's winning regional finals, who's clinching those spots available to champs. And then of course, later on in that same day will also be our America's regional finals. So lots of things for everybody to be paying attention to. As always, if you're unable to make it, just make sure you're following us on social media. Easy peasy, whether that is X, YouTube, Insta, or TikTok at Play Apex Esports. And don't forget, check out the new ones on Insta and TikTok. Might be some giveaways that you guys could see over there as well as Twitch for at Play Apex. That way you can keep yourself up to date with everything that we've got going on for regional finals, for champs, for everything along the way. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your week and maybe go hop into some games of Apex, and we'll see you all back here for regional finals next weekend. Good night, legends.